like to get into the Kern County Fair without buying a ticket, a donation of 6 canned non-perishable food items will do the trick. It's Feed the Need Day, and the Kern County Fair is giving away a free ticket for those 6 cans of non-perishable food today. Feed the Need Day is hosted by the Kern County Fair. Last year, over 20,000 cans were collected for the Community Action Partnership of Kern County. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Little thing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, it's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. Chris Burdick producing on this Tuesday, 23rd day of September. We really do have a busy Tuesday show. Coming up after our first break, we're going to meet Crystal Myers. She's part of Leadership Bakersfield. They have a clothing drive going on tomorrow. She wants to tell you all about. We'll do all about it. We'll do that. Bottom of the hour, Teresa Golden will join us, our former federal magistrate judge. And the two interviews that Kamala Harris has done with Rachel Maddow and The View were simply remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And Chris and I caught her. Yeah, we caught her. I'll explain a little bit later. And of course, Jimmy Kimmel goes back on the air tonight at 11:30, although not in some markets. And another National Football League player has taken his own life, and his family absolutely tying it to CTE. We'll talk about that, plus the big Monday night game. The Lions get back into contention, and everyone is wondering what the hell is wrong with Derrick Henry, who seems to not be able to hang on to the football. And it's countdown time in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers have 2 more series left. We'll talk about that at some point, but we begin with what I thought was ground-shaking news that came out of the United Nations today. President Donald Trump absolutely solidified his position on Russia, Ukraine, and recent current events that had Vladimir Putin invading not only Polish but Estonia airspace with jets and drones. That's not the story. The story is, while sitting with Volodymyr Zelensky, the president was asked, did he think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian jets? He said, quote, "Yes, I do." That is gargantuan. That is the correct answer. And I don't know who it was, but I know there was some freckle-faced African-American who said, this is similar to World War II. And there's no way in hell Vladimir Putin is simply satisfied with Ukraine. And he's going to push the envelope, and he's going to push the envelope. And this isn't the first time this has happened. So for those of you that are concerned, well, if we shoot down a Russian jet, it's World War III. It's automatic, bing, bang, bong. No, that's not true. In 2015, Putin did this again. Going through Syria, he invaded Turkey airspace for 17 seconds. For 17 seconds. And do you know what the Turkish government did? They shot it down. They absolutely shot it down. And this is the position. This is Article 5 of the NATO agreement. And there is no way in the world the United States or any of the NATO countries can back down from the commitment that if anybody, anyone, any country, any leader attempts to invade or attack a NATO country, it is as if you have absolutely attacked the United States and all the other Western European countries that are involved with NATO. As hard, hawkish, and as flirting with World War III as that may be, it is what a TI is. And if the NATO agreement means absolutely nothing, what the hell do you think Vladimir Putin is going to do? And that's what he's doing. He's testing the mettle of NATO. He's testing the guts of Western Europe. And more importantly, he's spitting in the eye of his so-called pal, Donald Trump. And I was amazed at what the president said today. And you're saying, well, Ralph, you're really just going to base this on him saying, yes, I do? No. Please stand by. The president went on to say, oh, I knew this was going to happen. I sat on my glasses last night, popped out the lens, but I was able to pop it back in again.
Yeah, but it's always tricky. It never goes in correctly.
And it'll never stay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to buy another $40 pair of reading glasses.
Ugh.
Ooh, and I can't even go to Rite Aid. Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Where can I get glasses in my neighborhood? I'm going to have to go to like Walmart or someplace.
Ratty. Go to Ratty.
Go to where?
Dr. Ratty, right down the street from you.
For just reading glasses?
I know, no.
For like $175?
Yeah, that's fair.
Screw Ratty. And I'm not a Ratty fan.
Really?
Who works right across the street from me.
Yeah.
You don't remember the Ratty story?
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah.
What, a month before I was going to have cataract surgery?
Yeah.
He sold me a pair of glasses. Now, granted,
I mean, that's on you, though.
I'm the idiot Mark that didn't put together once you had the cataracts. I didn't, and well, I've never been an forget it. Anyway, back to the president. Here's what he said. I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where the war started is very much an option. And then later on, he said, this is the time for Ukraine. That sounds like full-throated support to me. And that sounds like a foreign policy change for the United States. And I'm not sure, unfortunately, how the Republican Party is going to take this. There's that Marjorie Taylor Greene wackadoo end of the Republican Party that is dead set against giving more money or giving more military aid to Ukraine. But remember how the president has kind of walked this tightrope by selling these military arms to NATO. The president also highlighted today at the UN the fact that he's been able to get the Western European countries, NATO, to kick in from 2% where they were under Uncle Fluffy to 5% where they are now. And, you know, if this were normal times and there wasn't Trump derangement syndrome, even Democrats, moderate Democrats, would have to herald that as a gargantuan success. Gargantuan. That a sitting president got NATO to more than double their contribution to the NATO agreement? Can you imagine for just a millisecond if Barack Obama or Joe Biden had done that? It'd be a 54-point headline atop of the New York Times, LA Times, Chicago Tribune. But Trump does it, and well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? It is a gargantuan deal. And this day raises the stakes tremendously, not only given the fact that NATO countries now are going to start shooting down drones and Russian jet fighters, but the fact that we are full-throatedly behind the Ukrainians and that there is a belief that the president thinks that we can now take back the 20% that's been, this could be our guest, let me make sure. This is gargantuan, if you ask me. Oh, it's Mark Swain. 3 for 15 Rite Aid readers. But my Rite Aid is closed. I thought all the Rite Aids were closed.
I thought they were, wait, what?
Where you got a Rite Aid, Mark Swain? My Rite Aid, walking distance from my house, been closed. I drive by it almost every day and it breaks my heart.
Maybe he's just reminding you of the $15 readers.
That's where I used to buy my liquor too, Jack.
Oh,
Used to be able to get a handle of Stoli for $19.
ooh,
$19 a handle was Stoli. Couldn't do it. But
gotta go to CVS now.
yeah, no kidding. But I think this is a gargantuan thing, and we'll get talk more about this later in the program. The other gargantuan story that I neglected to talk about in the introduction was the fact that the president's would-be assassin was found guilty on all 5 charges. It's just been a whole bizarre event. The assassination attempt, the manner in which it was done, the way he hid outside the president's golf course at Mar-a-Lago, the God's great fortune that a Secret Service agent spotted him through a fence, fired at his position, that a witness played a gargantuan role in his capture, saw this guy escaping, knew something was funky, didn't know that he was the assassin of the president of the United States or a would-be assassin, but quickly wrote down his plate number and his description, which helped with the capture. Then this Ryan Ruth wants to represent himself, and as we talked about, the attorney that has himself for the attorney that represents himself as a fool for a client, and boy howdy did this guy prove it. And as after the 5 counts and charges were found guilty, the son of a gun tried to grab a pen and shove it in his neck with his daughter and son in the courtroom, and they went out screaming and crying. The media, of course, went chasing after the daughter with their cameras. Is that really necessary? Really? This guy's a nut job. It was a real quick trial. It was a real quick verdict, and it's over with. And why bring the daughter into it? You know, and of course, what made it, I guess, interesting and newsworthy was the fact that she said that her father was mistreated and wronged and lied about, and blah, 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 blah. Wow. I mean, what are you going to do? Say my dad is a would-be assassin, I guess? I don't know. I feel for it, I really do. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the day. When we come back, Crystal Myers will join us from Leadership Bakersfield. As I mentioned, they've got a clothing drive going on tomorrow. She'll tell you all about it. Then at the bottom of the hour, it is a Tuesday. Teresa Golden returns to the fold. And I believe that's exactly what we're talking about. Ryan Ruth, please stand by. Let me just double, triple check. That is exactly what we're talking about with our former federal magistrate judge. And then we'll get into the ridiculous, silly, wasted time called interviews with Rachel Maddow and The View. Do you understand that the ladies of The View did not ask her one question about her book? Hostin had to ask her about what Hostin called pulling the pin on a grenade, which is I think that's Kamala that wrote that in the book. But Sonny Hostin brought that up, that she didn't recognize it then, but she did at the moment, that when she answered the famous question, would you do anything differently? I think Hostin either asked her, did you realize it? Or she either wrote in the book, I realized I was pulling the pin on a grenade. And in fact, she did. She absolutely did. Quick break.
Real quick before we go to break. Text messages coming in so you can buy reading glasses at Dollar Tree.
Ah, that's right up the street. Outstanding. Quick break. Crystal Myers joins us next. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
On the next Armstrong and Getty show,
boy, did Donald J. ruffle a lot of feathers at the UN, given his big blockbuster, somewhat rambling speech. We'll bring you the highlights and the controversies.
oh, it's going to be insufferable, but Jimmy Kimmel back on TV, what he says, and then the reaction to what he says, and then the reaction to the reaction. We'll have all of that on the next Armstrong and Getty show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
When your business technology breaks down, you need help fast, and you need it from the people who understand your local market. That's one of the main reasons we've teamed up with Adaptive Networks, because we have a unique business. Because when our IT goes down, you hear nothing, dead air, and we're dead. Adaptive Networks isn't some faceless call center in another state. They're right here in our community. with local technicians who know Kern County businesses inside and out. And while other IT companies make you wait hours or even days for support, we just can't afford that. Adaptive Networks delivers lightning fast response times. We're talking minutes, not hours, because when your systems are down, every minute counts. Their team doesn't just fix your problem quickly. They treat you like the neighbor you are. Real people, real solutions, real results. Call Adaptive Networks today, 661-241-0638, or visit adaptive-net.com. Adaptive Networks, your local IT experts, always here when you need them.
Thanks for coming in. It's Leadership Bakersfield.
Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare. We don't care. Take a look our way and come in.
So wasn't that an interesting wedding?
Every day is sale day.
You guys, your part was
Oh no,
great.
Dad! I spilled juice on the carpet.
Don't worry, kiddo. We have stain-resistant carpet from Carpet Outlet Plus.
Dad, look, he dumped his water bowl all over the new floors.
Everything is fine. We have brand new waterproof floors from Carpet Outlet Plus. You can find everything you need for family-proof floor at Bakersfield's best flooring store. Now offering 1 year, no interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet.
You always listen to them.
Every day is sale day.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Andrew McCollum, CEO of Philo, the streaming TV company that's proud to be different. At Philo, we put the audience first.
Hi,
It
Robbie.
sounds simple, but how often are you frustrated just trying to watch TV? I run a streaming company, and even I can't figure it out.
I leave the
From
mic
hidden
open.
fees to impossible to break
they
contracts
have
to
to-
dozens of
it's
confusing
rivals.
apps, TV has gotten way too hard. So
It
we set out to
rivals
make
'cause
it
of the
better.
commercial
You want to watch live
break.
TV from the channels you've always loved, like Discovery, A&E, Nickelodeon, and more? Philo's got you covered. If you want to discover something new from our library of over 80,000 movies and shows, then save every episode for up to a year so you can skip all the ads? No problem. Your favorite show is over? You want to take a break from your subscription? We've made it as easy as possible, and you can still enjoy more than 100 free channels. We built Philo so that you can love the way you watch TV for a price you can afford. Because at Philo, we're TV fans
But,
too.
you know,
Head to
and it was weird that
philo.tv/Andrew to
everyone I
start a free
talked to
trial
had
and see
never
for
heard of the
yourself.
El Tango.
That's philo.tv/Andrew.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-537-6842-KERN. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, it's Tuesday. Our former federal magistrate judge, Teresa Golden, is going to join us. We'll talk about Ryan Ruth's wacky, bizarre trial in which he represented himself. And of course, the man that hid outside Mar-a-Lago and tried to shoot the president was found guilty rather quickly on all 5 counts. We'll talk about that with her. And then we'll get into the Harris interview. She was pumping her book, 107 Days, insisting literally in the interview, I didn't have enough time. No, Kamala, you had too much time because your popularity was at its zenith right after the convention, and it plummeted from that point on. If you had the election a couple of weekends after the convention, you might have won. But we'll get into that later because Crystal Meyer is live in studio. As those of you who are subscribing on YouTube can see, the lovely leader of or part of Leadership Bakersfield and wedding planner. Hi, Robbie.
Hey, Robbie.
And she planned Robbie Pratt's beautiful wedding. Congratulations. That was unbelievable. It was a really beautiful wedding.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Robbie definitely put us to work.
Yeah. Yeah. With his 13 groomsmen and 13 bridesmaids.
Yeah, it
and-
was almost like a quinceañera.
That's
It
funny.
was like a quinceañera.
Yeah.
April asked me in the middle of it, she said, will you do more weddings? And I said, we'll just charge more.
Hang on. That's Robbie.
Is it?
Yeah, of course it
It's
is.
so
Please
funny.
stand by. Hang on. I don't know how to work my phone. I just
Too
put a
funny.
little smiley face.
How funny. Hi,
Uh,
Robbie.
Now you're here with Leadership Bakersfield, and you got an important clothing drive going on tomorrow. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so for Leadership Bakersfield, my project is enhancing the intake center at the Jameson Center. Are you familiar with the
Oh,
center?
absolutely.
So it's the, only 24-hour emergency shelter here in Kern County and for youth specifically. And part of our project is to do a clothing and toy drive to help bring in some additional items that the center needs. It could be anything from toys. We're asking for new toys specifically for the center.
Right.
Gently used shoes and clothing for ages anywhere between 5 to 18. Basics. It can be sweatpants, sweaters, t-shirts, jeans, just simple basics for the center.
I hear socks are often
Yeah,
needed.
socks, undergarments. The undergarments, we do request that they're new.
Right.
Definitely don't want to, give anybody your used stuff.
Give me a used drawers to the people. No, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, but it'll be tomorrow at 7 a.m. So we're going to be there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the KGET Compassion Corner. And our team will be out there taking donations for the Jameson Center.
Yeah. Tell us about Leadership Bakersfield.
It is a 1-year program, or it's about a year. It's through the Chamber of Commerce, and you have to apply. So you first apply, you get interviewed, and then you are put into groups. And there's 2 parts of the program. The first part is your group has to find a project in the community and essentially take all of the tools that they've given us and somehow invest in the community. So our team has chosen the Jameson Center. The other part of the program is that you spend the year learning about the different industries in Bakersfield and the county. We went around, we learned about the agriculture industry, energy, arts, and really trying to just learn about how the community works together, not only with, local businesses, but also within the county.
Really?
Yeah. So it's been a great program. I'm going to miss it.
Yeah. How'd you get involved?
I applied last year. So I had been encouraged by a few people to do the program.
That's what I was going to say. How did it get on your radar?
Yeah, I've been encouraged to do it, and I applied and I've loved it. I've really enjoyed the experience. I've gotten to meet some really unique people, but I think what I've really enjoyed the most is learning about the city. So I'm born and raised in Bakersfield.
Right.
And learning so much more about what is going on in our community. Even we had Education Day, and we learned about the school districts here in Bakersfield and some of the adversities that they face in Bakersfield City School District specifically. And then even learning about the inner workings of the agriculture industry and how the farmers are fighting for water and all of that. So I have just a whole nother level of appreciation for living in the city, being born and raised here. And the program has really exposed me to what is actually happening within our community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How does you said you applied. How does one apply?
Yeah. So you want to apply at the Chamber of Bakersfield website. Applications usually open up around August and they close within the same month. So you want to get your application in early. You'll have to submit like a letter of reference and a few, recommendations as well. And the interview is great. It's just really like trying to get to know you. And they want to know, what would you do given all the tools that you have now? How would you make Bakersfield? I like to say, make Bakersfield great again.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Who are the leaders of Leadership Bakersfield? Who are the people that you talk to? Are there people that we would know? Are there leaders within the community?
So Janelle Capra, she's
Definitely know Janelle. I've known Janelle since the 20th century.
No way.
When I first started working at Channel 23, I believe she was our promotions director.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the 90s.
I think she's a Bakersfield girl too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she's the president. Our program director is Cami. I want to say her last name is Gonzalez. Sorry, Cami, but she is the program director. So she oversees it. And
so it's really an offshoot of the chamber.
Yes, it's within.
Because Janelle is the head of the chamber, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a program within the chamber.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
And then the leaders that get selected are the ones, I want to say last year they had over 60 applicants and only about 40 of us get accepted.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But you only serve for a year?
Yeah, it's only about a year.
And the folks that want to apply, they have to wait until next August? Is that right?
Because the applications just closed for this year.
So it's just during the period of August. Get the information out tomorrow, 7 to 7, Compassion Corner.
Yes.
and just describe the clothing that you need one more time.
I'm going to say, so tomorrow morning, yes, at 7 a.m. at the KGT Compassion Corner, we are asking for gently used items, gently used clothing for ages between 5 and 17, basics anywhere between jeans, t-shirts, used. We want to ask for new socks and undergarments, toys as well, board games. We'll also even take a few video games.
Outstanding. Outstanding. And if you need somebody to arrange your marriage,
yes, or your wedding,
or your wedding, your wedding, you're on your own on the marriage, but she can do your wedding for you quite well.
You can follow me on Instagram at Events by CE.
Outstanding. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Teresa Goldner's next.
That was great. That was great. Thank you so much.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm
Nice job,
Keith
Sports
Peters
Fan.
in Washington. President
Saturday,
Donald
what's
Trump
going
has
on?
returned to the United Nations to speak of his second-term foreign policy achievements
all hands on deck.
and lashed out at the world body as a feckless institution.
Are
He
you
also
really?
warned
What are you
Europe
doing
it
for us?
would be ruined if it didn't turn away from a double-tailed monster of ill-conceived
Aguilar.
migration and green
Oh, I thought you meant our
energy
DJ
policy.
Romeo.
President Trump says
Aguilar
Ukraine
bought a
can
table?
win back all territory lost to
Well,
Russia.
I'm working it.
It's a dramatic shift from the U.S. leader's call on Kyiv to make
I'm
concessions.
thinking about our
Mr.
event.
Trump offered his
What
position
is
in a
mine
social
talking?
media posting
thinking
soon
about
after meeting with
I'm sorry.
Ukrainian President
Romeo didn't even
Volodymyr
tell me that.
Zelensky. On Wall Street,
When
the
is it,
Dow down
Saturday?
by
At
88
what time?
points. The Nasdaq
In the
dropped
morning?
215.
He didn't
More
tell me.
details at srnnews.com.
All right. Well, then I'll see you there.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180
Do I have a plus one?
KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on
Yeah, I got to
News
talk to
Talk
him, buddy. He hadn't told me
96.1
about it.
and
See
AM
you later.
1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. The inmate who escaped during transport to a Kern medical appointment has been found. 23-year-old Francisco Garcia escaped from Kern Medical at around 11 o'clock Saturday night. Seen running eastbound from the hospital. He escaped while in transport. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is not sharing further details on his escape or his capture. According to the DA's office, Garcia, who is a rap artist, was convicted on 2 counts of attempted murder and other charges. The Kern County Coroner's Office has identified the man who was shot and killed on Vine Street near the fairgrounds last week as 40-year-old Wilberto Ruben Hernandez of Bakersfield. Deputies found the victim. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Homicide detectives are investigating. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
The JR Show.
So the city council moved forward the idea of renaming South 8th Street to Avocado de Cesar Chavez. I don't know, whatever. Look, it's not the name that bothers me. It could have been Cesar Chavez. It could have been Martin Luther King Jr. It could have been Buck Owens. It does not matter. At a time like this, when we don't have the money, how are we going to spend, for what I'm told, over $1 million to do a street name change? It's just not the right time to do it.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's a Tuesday, and look who's back. Our former federal magistrate judge, Teresa Golden, joins us live in studio. How are you?
I'm doing great, Ralph. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. You feeling better?
You know what? The reason that I'm not here is I haven't been here for a while.
Yeah.
I went to my 50th class reunion.
Oh, I got to hear about this.
It was, I was like 45 minutes late because I thought, I don't want to go. Yeah. And I went and I had a blast. It was,
locally?
Yeah, it was at Stockton. Class of 1975, and then they also had there.
Yeah.
It was really,
and where was
really
it?
fun. It was at Stockdale
Country Club?
Stockdale Country Club.
Very nice choice.
Yeah, it was good. It was
Venue.
fun. Really, really fun. And you know what? Those are life cycle kind of events, and they're worth going to. I was kind of wondering if it would be, but it was really good. It was really nice.
My 45th is coming up.
You should go.
And for the first time, I'm thinking about going.
You got to go.
I
You
really
gotta
am
go.
thinking about going.
And don't even worry about, I brought my husband with me because he's my husband.
Right.
And, but a lot of people didn't bring their spouses.
Really?
I think some of them had more fun without their spouses, but my husband, Barry, he knows a lot of the people in my class.
Yeah.
He's met a lot of the people in my class. So he was on his own having fun, and I didn't even have to worry about him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was great. It was really fun. I don't know how to turn this.
Don't worry about it. We can handle the ding.
All right. But
Yeah.
Go. You should go. Really, you should go.
I think I am. I really, really
But
am.
go by yourself or go with a buddy, I think.
Yeah. Don't take a date.
I wouldn't bring a date because then
No.
you have to worry about your date.
Yeah, true.
And you don't want to have to worry about somebody else's happiness there unless
Yeah.
you never know if somebody has to be attended to all the time. You
See,
don't
but
wanna do
your
that.
experience at West High School was wonderful. My
did.
experience, you got to understand, my switching high schools in 10th grade is one of the top 3 mistakes I've ever made in my life. It really is. I went to a private school in Sherman Oaks. I started halfway through my 6th grade year, and I was loved. I was there for a long time.
Bet you were.
And it was like a family. It was a very short. My high school football coach, who moved up here long before I did, I'm still in contact with. And his wife, I met before that because she was an administrator. The school was separated from reading readiness and 6th grade on one side and 7th to 12th grade on the other side. Mrs. Fowler,
Wow.
Mrs. Fowler worked as an administrator when I was in 6th grade. And then when I went over to 7th grade, her husband, Coach Fowler, was my high school football and basketball and baseball coach.
How many students were in your class?
In my graduating class, about 90.
And this is the real graduating class or the one that you would have gone to if you hadn't switched schools?
This is the one that I would have gone to had I not switched schools. But both schools' population was about the same.
Well, we have similar experiences then.
Yeah.
You don't know this because I had to transfer schools when I was a junior. At the end of my
Ooh.
junior, I think it was I had about 3 weeks left.
That's horrible.
And it was very hard. And I was so mad at my parents for doing that. But my parents, and they were right.
I am grateful
That you
because,
transferred?
well, no, it was the worst decision I ever made. But I transferred in 10th grade, and then my parents moved out to the South Bay after my going into 11th grade.
Mhm.
And no, going into 12th grade, and they gave me the option: do you want to go to PV High School or do you want to stay at Brentwood?
And PV
And it-
was
Right where we lived, in Palos Verdes, and it was that
those are
or
2 Tony schools there.
oh, excuse me.
Look at that.
but it was a 45-minute drive into the city,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'd rather do that than switch schools 3 times.
That's
the
smart.
last 3 years of my high school experience. You know what I mean?
That would have been awful.
It would have been
That
awful.
would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I transferred. It was good. People were really nice to me. Made a lot of friends really fast, and I ended up having a great senior year.
Did you see any ex-boyfriends?
I did.
Really?
I did.
Now what? I'm sorry. What is that like?
I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, come on!
Do you really want to talk?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And was Barry at all like? So that's the guy.
I introduced Barry to him.
As your ex?
No.
I knew it.
I cannot tell.
Barry's
lies.
is Bob. Hi, Bob.
Barry's is. No. I said I didn't go into details. Let's just leave
Yeah.
it at that. You're making
Okay.
me blush.
All right, I'm sorry.
But it was really really, really, really fun. But I can tell you that with some exceptions.
Yeah.
And if anybody in my class is listening, I'm sorry.
It'll get back to him, believe me.
The women looked far better than the men.
Really?
Yes, in my opinion. The women aged much better after 50 years. than the men did.
That isn't that uncommon?
I don't know. Because I remember going to my 30th. I think it was my 30th. And I thought it was pretty even, but boy, big difference. A lot of people had aged by their 50th.
Yeah.
I mean, we had people that were walking around with canes and, that kind of stuff. Some pretty, terrible health problems and things like that. And I also was, this is so vain. I shouldn't even say
No,
this.
come on.
I was so glad that I don't have gray hair. That's all I'm going to say. I was so glad. That makes such a difference.
As you know, and as my listeners know, I am struggling with getting old. But I thank my lucky stars that I have my hair, even though I'm starting to get a little sand trap in the back. It's starting to get white, but it isn't white.
Your hair's great.
Look at Barack Obama.
Is he all white now?
Oh, he's totally white.
Do you think that looks good on him?
No.
It just makes him look old, doesn't
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes. But that happens to every single president. Very few. I think Reagan was the only one that came out not looking. And I think they might have touched that up a little bit. But so I'm very grateful for those things.
Well,
because I think that's the worst thing that can happen to a man. You lose your hair.
You would be a really good-looking guy at my 50th reunion.
Yeah.
I'll just say that you would be.
Chris,
you're going to be doing good.
As Chris knows, that warms my heart because I got called old twice.
He's been taking a lot of shots.
Yeah,
who called
twice.
you old?
A woman that I once dated.
Oh no!
I saw her. She was single, and I asked her out, and she said, "Ralph, you're so far out of my age range."
Oh.
And I was like, we're only like 10, 12 years apart. And we used to, and she goes, I have 25-year-olds hitting on me.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
La, la,
and then the very next day, I met a listener who said, you look so much older than I thought. Back-to-back days, Terry. So when you tell me I look good, normally I'd be like,
well, you look good for
quiet.
You look good
but
for
now
my
I'm
50th.
saying, thank you. Thank you, Terry.
You didn't hear that caveat, did you?
No, I did. For your 50th?
You look good for my 50th.
Yeah, well, that's 5 years in advance. So
I do have to make a slight little correction because I want to correct the record. I'm starting to feel a little bit guilty now.
Go right ahead.
The person that was a former boyfriend that I met, that I have not seen in all these years. He was actually somebody that he was in the class ahead of me, and I didn't know him in high school really. I think I met him and really started dating him when I was in college.
Really?
And I hadn't seen him since I was a freshman in college.
And what does he do?
He lives down south, and I think he's retired now.
Yeah, what
but
do
he
you
used
do?
to be. He used to be a professional baseball player.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I'm not going to tell you his name.
That would have been a
name drop.
Would we know him?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, come on now. You got to give it up.
I'm not going to. No way.
Come
I'm not gonna
on.
That's private. That's private.
What difference does it
I
make?
don't know. I want to respect his privacy.
Okay, I'll let it go. I'll let it go. I'll let it go.
I had a thing for baseball players. I always have.
Really?
Baseball's a great sport, and I remember going to all the games.
I mean, Chris, imagine if it's like Bobby Grich or somebody.
Come
on. What if it's like Roberto Clemente?
Give us a position.
It's not Roberto Clemente.
All right, give us a team and a position.
Chicago Cubs.
And a position?
I'm not going to do that.
Oh, come on. How in the world could we guess?
I'm not going to do that.
We don't even know how in the world could we guess.
Wild horses will not drag it out of me.
What position he played?
Well, then you'll be able to figure it out.
Okay, just say infield or outfield.
I can't. No, you'd be able to figure it out.
How in the world can we figure it out, Jerry? Come on. Infield or outfield. This way we could at least guess.
No, I can't.
You don't have to say that we're right.
Honestly, I cannot. I do not.
You know who it is, don't you?
I do not want to embarrass him.
You know who it is.
He may not want people to know that.
It's Ernie Banks.
Clearly.
She dated Ernie Banks.
How old is Ernie Banks today?
He's been dead for like 15 years.
Then it definitely was not him.
It wasn't Ernie. It wasn't Ernie.
You're so funny, Ralph. I'm going to get you back after you go to
After I go to mine? But you know me, I have no edit.
I'm going to say
I just vomit. I'll tell you all about it. I had no business telling people about what happened Saturday night. I don't care. What do I care? All right, we got to get to work.
Goodness.
Ryan,
that was way too much fun.
That was fun. Although you ruined all the fun. Could have at least said infield or outfield. And And that way we could spend the rest. We can spend till 6 o'clock trying to guess who it is.
We can try to figure it out right now. Anyway,
I would have to figure out. Oh, so you graduated in 75, which means he was a 70s player. Man, that's right in my wheelhouse.
I am kind of like
Don
curious to think, so
Kessinger.
what college is this again?
Don Kessinger, maybe. Ron Santos.
Cal Poly?
no,
Is that what we're
it's not
talking about?
Ron Santos.
She dated Ryan Sandberg.
No, I didn't
It was Ryan Sandberg.
Mike Krukow? Does that sound familiar?
This is too embarrassing.
Greg Maddox. She dated Greg Maddox.
Oh, you'll just have
Scott
to
Boras?
guess. That's all I'm going to
All
tell
right,
you.
okay.
But that was, I would say that was, for me, that was a highlight. That was really fun. And
Yeah.
it was fun to catch up and talk and, see everybody and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
But him and Barry talked about baseball cards, so that was good. Barry's
Oh,
my
he's famous.
my husband is a baseball card collector. He has probably over 100,000 baseball cards.
Really?
Loves them, and so he'll talk baseball cards all day long if you want to.
That's
He'll bring you in his best baseball cards. You guys can talk about them.
I
He's got
love
some
your
good
husband.
ones.
He's a really nice guy, but that's about as corny as I've ever heard.
Baseball cards?
Yes.
Really? You don't
I
like
mean,
them?
I did that till I was about 13.
Oh, when we first got married, he was
Yeah.
really into baseball cards. We used to go to baseball card conventions together. So I learned about baseball card collecting. And also, when we bought our first house, it was in Berkeley. It was this little tiny house.
Yeah.
Great view of the bay, but really tiny house. He had so many baseball cards that we had to like stack things up everywhere, even in the window sills, cover them up and put them in boxes and put them on the ledges of the window sills. We had a special room built in our house to house his baseball card collection.
Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. What's that noise?
But
What's
whatever
that
makes
noise?
you happy. I collect.
I guess
Do you
so.
collect anything?
No.
I collect paperweights.
I bobbleheads.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
You've not seen
Yeah.
my collection?
I have not seen your collection.
Have you seen some of the additions to my collection?
I haven't seen
You
any
see
of it.
Father Craig over there? There's
Where's
Monsignor
Father-
Craig.
I didn't
You see
know
that?
Father Craig.
And there's Mary Bethune.
My goodness.
And that's Magic Johnson. And that is our
Wow.
former CSUB president, Horace Mitchell.
Very nice.
And this is the late Don Newcomb.
Wow.
And this is an amputated Jackie Robinson statue.
Wow. Well, I see that you don't have my former boyfriend's bobblehead up there.
Well, if you tell us who it is, I'd order it. You're damn right. And those are my 2 press club awards that I won.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Those are nice. Those are some pretty cool bobbleheads.
I know. They really
I'm
are.
impressed.
Thank you. And I don't have my pride and joy, my Jackie Robinson sliding into home plate. I don't even have that up there.
Wow. Because you don't want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my no.
You have to put that in a special place.
Yeah. So I bought the one that I got on Jackie Robinson Day that I broke the day that I got it. Literally, I dropped it the
you're
day that I got it.
kidding.
The day that I got it, Terry.
How did you?
Tore off his arms. I just dropped it, and his arms broke.
Did it cost a lot of money?
No, it's absolutely free.
Wow. Those are the best.
It still breaks my heart. All right, we got to get to work and talk about this nut job, Ryan Ralph.
Have you
Ruth.
talked about him yet today?
No, not at all.
Wow. I mean,
I mentioned the fact that he
The
tried
story.
to put his pen in his neck after the
Yeah.
reading of the charges. and-
He was convicted in 2 hours. That's how long it took to deliberate. Convicted him of 5 different crimes, and he has really got some problems as far as the length of time that he's going to have to be in prison.
Are we going to see the same thing with the Utah shooter?
Oh, yes.
A really short trial, a really short verdict.
Well, I think so because it's very obvious what happened, and
And
I
that
don't-
gets more open and shut than this case was.
this case was extremely open and shut.
Oh, yeah.
I think that case is just as, except I think that there might be some other players in that other case, possibly.
That's
that
what
maybe
Cash
they're not
Patel
in this one.
suggests.
I would not be surprised if there are.
Yeah, I don't believe
No.
anything that comes out of Cash Patel's mouth. I'm sorry.
Really?
I don't.
Why?
Because I think he's a clown. I think he's an idiot. I think he and Hegseth and Bobby Kennedy now telling women to stay away from Tylenol and Pam Bondi, the list is on my desk. I think this is one of the worst cabinets I've ever seen in my life, Terry. And I supported them all.
Oh, I'm sorry to
I
hear
really
you say
did.
that.
I really did.
Well, it's interesting. I was, as I was getting ready for our show today and reading about this case and kind of what the evidence was and all that sort of thing, I went to the Department of Justice website,
Mhm.
and they have a lot of interesting press releases. I also subscribe to get their press releases because that's how you find out real quick, what happened. They had this one out in a heartbeat.
You are an animal.
I like that kind of stuff.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You eat it up like a white shark. It's incredible.
You know, my nickname used to be the Barracuda. Did you know that?
God, you get more fascinating the more I get to know you. The Barracuda.
Anyway, that was as a lawyer.
Right.
Anyway, did you know that back in February of 2025, they completely revived the federal death penalty?
No.
I know. I had forgotten about that.
How so?
Well, there was an executive order that President Trump signed to say we want it brought back into effect. We want it enforced. This is how we want it enforced. And Pam Bondi sent out a very specific, very intense memo. I'll leave it here if you want to read it, but talking about how going forward, the Department of Justice will once again act as the law demands, including by seeking death sentences in appropriate cases and swiftly implementing those sentences.
Yeah.
And I mean, they go into all the different, types of crimes that they're going to, put people to death for if they get a conviction on it. But previously, apparently, there had been a moratorium on federal death penalty cases where the prosecutors were told not to seek the death penalty in cases. But since February of this year, it's gone. That's done. They're going after people now for that in an appropriate case with the right evidence.
Excuse my ignorance. Was the Ruth case a federal case or was that a Florida case?
It's a federal Florida case. It's a federal case in Florida.
Okay.
No,
it was a federal case.
Federal case, and guess who it was in front of? One of your favorite judges.
Cannon.
Judge Eileen Cannon.
I love her. Yes, of course.
Yeah, she's a no monkey business kind of judge.
She absolutely is. And she had to go through this trial with this idiot. And from what I heard, I didn't follow it because we couldn't watch it on television or anything, but listening to the pundits, they are in love with her. Just how she handled this idiot who was asking bizarre questions, had bizarre witnesses. I'm shocked that they let him represent himself.
Well, I think he was just smart enough, to be able to pass the test, which is you just got to be smart enough to know what you're asking.
Right.
You don't have to be smart enough to win. So she let him present himself, but he did have standby counsel if he needed that.
This may be another dumb question, but how do you explain the daughter insisting today on the news that her father was wronged and people lied and boop, 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 and he was set up and things like that? Is that just familial love that you just can't possibly believe that your father could do something like this?
She loves her father.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon. The person that's on trial is not the person that you know as your father or your mother. I don't hold that against her.
The only reason I bring that up because I think that is one of the biggest problems we have with these young folks, because I think parents are unwilling to recognize or at least say something that my son's in trouble, and I know it.
I think,
but we want to keep it inside the house. We don't want to air our dirty laundry out in public. We'll help him out. We can get him back. And then something bizarre happens.
And that's exactly when you need to help the most.
Exactly.
And I think part of that too, though, is, and I kind of see that a little bit when I was, I used to hear cases in juvenile court from Kern County Superior Court a long time ago. And sometimes the parents, they really feel responsible for it because they think and it may very well be a reflection on their parenting.
It totally is.
Because, neglectful parents, emotionally unavailable parents, that kind of thing, can really lead to some serious problems in their children. And maybe they don't want to face that too.
Yeah. It's a creepy comment, but it's right on. And it's funny from Chris Rock, who said, if your daughter's on a pole, you were a bad dad. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's absolutely correct.
It's totally correct.
Yeah.
It's absolutely correct.
Well, I don't think there's anybody in my class that had at my 50th year reunion that had
that went to the pole. No.
We probably had a lot of pole workers, but not any pole dancers.
Right. What percentage of your class showed up?
I think we had about 350 in our class.
Holy Toledo!
But I think between the two, there were probably. I mean, it wasn't a very big class. Between the two, there were probably like 200 people there, maybe.
That's pretty big.
Well, it was two classes. Combined.
Because remember, I'm coming out of a class of like 89 kids.
Well,
I'm going to know everybody there. Not that everybody's going to show up.
I think you're talking about going to that first one, your real one.
Yep.
You got to go to that, Ralph. You'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah.
You'll regret it because you never know. It might be the last time you see those people.
I'm still in contact with several of them.
You should go.
In fact, one of them is an attorney that represents Dewars.
Really?
Out of LA.
Dewars Candy here?
Yes.
And he lives in LA?
Does she
Does she
Julie
work?
Weber.
Sorry. Does she work for a big law firm down there?
I don't know. But all she's told me is I'm in Bakersfield all the time. I don't know why we don't hook up because I'm representing Dwarves.
Have you taken her around? Does she know Bakersfield?
I've never met her up here.
Well, you should.
I know. The one time she came here, I was in DC.
Were you friends with her?
Really good friends with her.
Was she fun?
She was a great girl. She was. I was the president of the class, and she was the vice president of the class, and we did a lot of things together. And I got her out of a scrape. She had a party at her parents' house, and the cops showed up. And for whatever reason, she was like, "Ralph, you got to come talk to the cops." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "I'm sorry, sir. We'll keep it down. And, it's homecoming." And
Did you manage to talk your way out of it?
We totally talked her out of it. So we've been kind of connected ever since. I love Julie. She's a great gal.
Next question.
You.
Is she married?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Darn. I was going to say you can ask her to go to the dinner with you.
Stop.
I'm trying to find a date for you.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. Other than this case was wild. Did you hear some of the questions that he was asking the
Yes.
jurors?
I didn't even want to.
You didn't want to go
dignify
into it?
You can if you want, but so ridiculous. Would you go on a trip to Puerto Rico with me or something crazy?
And one of his questions to the jurors was, this is in voir dire. How do you feel about, was it a turtle crossing the road?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
And do you think I'm a good guy and all this? It's just like, what a waste.
I know. It's really, we laugh and, shrug our shoulders and everything, but it's really very, very serious.
Yeah. And we should point out that, and I forgot about this, that it was a witness who didn't know what was going on, but saw him acting screwy and followed him, got his license plate. And that's gargantuan. That's what we need more of,
We do.
folks getting involved.
I know what I wanted to ask you,
Yes.
but it's probably a whole different show.
That's okay.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
Jimmy
going to get into
Kimmel
that.
going back on the air. Here's
Yeah.
my question for you.
Yeah.
The companies, the one company, Sinclair.
And Nexstar.
Yeah, I'm just talking Sinclair though. I don't.
Okay.
Then they have like 40. I don't know how many stations they have.
20%. Yeah. Large number.
What I read this morning was that they are not going to let him back on their stations.
They're not.
Unless he apologizes and makes some substantial financial contributions.
And that's never going to happen.
So I know what my reaction to that was.
I think it's idiotic on their part financially because Jimmy Kimmel is never ever going to have a bigger audience as he's going to have tonight.
Oh.
I'm going to stay up till 11:30 to watch what he says. And
You
what
just
I
wanna
would
know
have done,
his reaction to
of
it.
course. And if I were Sinclair, what I would have done is I would have brought him on, and I would have said, "We will, for the meantime, bring Mr. Kimmel back on. We want to see how he's going to react and see where he intends to take the show, and then we'll make a final decision." But to deny, I think it's Nashville. In fact, I have some of the cities that Sinclair is: Washington, D.C., Seattle, KDLNL in St. Louis, Portland, Oregon, Rochester, New York, Nashville. Those are some large markets. And there are going to be folks that, whether they're Kimmel fans or not, want to be curious as to what he was going to say.
Well, they can watch it on YouTube.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And now you just gave away what could have been. I told Chris that what these affiliates are going to do is this morning, they're going to ratchet it up their advertising rates for tonight because he's going to have 10 million viewers when he averages about 1.1.
We'll have to see what happens there.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, I've never watched the Kimmel Show, but I'm watching it tonight, Jack.
Okay. Well, since you asked me, I'll tell you what I think.
What do you think? I'm sorry. What do you think?
I'm just kidding you.
You could host your own show.
No,
Go
I'm just
ahead.
kidding you. I'm glad they did it.
I am too.
I feel like, you know what? Finally, someone is willing to put their integrity and their money, where their beliefs are. And I was so glad to hear that. Like, you know what? He was wrong in what he did. Absolutely wrong in what he said, the way he reported it. And he needs to apologize. I don't know about the financial donations, but
Oh, so you're saying you're glad he's coming back?
I'm glad he's not coming back
Oh,
on those
okay.
stations. I'm glad that those stations actually stuck by their guns and
Mhm.
said, you know what, enough is enough, and we're just not going to put up with this anymore.
Yeah,
And,
good.
and I'm really glad because to me, it shows a lot of integrity.
It does.
And that's why I'm really glad they do. And I will never watch Jimmy Kimmel again.
I agree. And it's unfortunate that the left has been able to muddy the waters and not make people understand what this is about. This has nothing to do with the First Amendment. Jimmy Kimmel can go on a podcast, he can go on anywhere he wants and say whatever he wants. But if you work for a business, and I went through this, Stephen Colbert, they're saying, oh, he got fired because of pressure. The night before he got fired, he bagged on Paramount his boss for relenting on the 60 Minute interview.
Wow. You would never do anything like that.
That's what I said yesterday. Can you imagine if I trashed Rogers Brandon and then scratched my head why I got fired the next day? Come on.
I know. It's not, but I think it does give a teachable moment. Maybe we can talk about this on a later show.
That you can't lie on television.
No.
That's the lesson I learned. He lied.
About the First Amendment and when it applies and when it doesn't apply and why it applies to, doesn't apply to Jimmy Kimmel, but it does apply, in other places.
Doggone right.
So
you can say what you want, but your employers still have a right to fire you behind.
So we should talk about that sometime.
We will indeed. Tracy Golder, everybody.
Yeah, you scared me. I thought you were having us back. No, I'm absolutely glad.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
Did you really?
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The verdict is in for a man accused of trying to kill Donald Trump.
A jury convicted Ryan Ruth on all counts. Ruth faced charges that included attempting to assassinate a major presidential candidate and possessing a firearm as a convicted felon. After jurors began leaving the courtroom, Ruth grabbed a pen and started to try to stab himself in the neck. Prosecutors say that Ruth spent weeks plotting to kill Trump before aiming a rifle at Trump on September 15, 2024. Ruth, who defended himself in court, claimed that he never intended to kill anyone. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
President Trump has addressed the United Nations General Assembly today. In his speech, he condemned Hamas for rejecting reasonable agreements to end its war against
I think Johnny
Israel.
Carson hit it on the head.
Who want peace to be
they asked
united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now.
And he said it's very dangerous because you could sway an audience.
He also used the moment to oppose recognition of a Palestinian state. President Trump has canceled a meeting with Democratic congressional leaders to discuss preventing a government shutdown.
The president had been scheduled to meet with the Senate and House Democratic leaders on Thursday in hopes of reaching an agreement to fund the government before the September 30th deadline. But he called off the meeting, having decided that it wouldn't be productive. The president wrote online that Democrat budget requests are unserious and ridiculous, and that he will only meet with leaders if they get serious about the country's future. Greg Clugston, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 88 points, the Nasdaq dropping 215, the S&P 500 lower by 36. More at townhall.com.
Come on, off the record. We won't tell anybody. I'll hit the mic.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Every day I speak with people who are worried and are feeling a lot of pressure because of credit card debt. That's why I'm very proud of what we do at Trinity. We just help. We give people the support they need along with a real plan to become debt-free. Credit card bills are consolidated into a single monthly payment that is much less than what they were paying before. Most of our members end up saving thousands and even may improve their credit scores by as much as 200 points. I know from the bottom of my heart that I'm making a difference in the lives of the people we help. It just makes me really happy.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Julie, and I'm a Trinity counselor. Call me and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
All right, thanks a lot. See you next week.
96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. More than 4,000 Bakersfield residents were affected by a power outage Monday morning. The outage was reported just after 7:30 a.m. According to the PG&E website, the outages were mainly in neighborhoods surrounding South Union Avenue and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. No word on the cause. Power for most customers was reportedly restored in between 1 and 1:30 p.m. The Bakersfield Police Department is investigating a shooting that happened near the Kern County Fairgrounds, leaving one man with serious injuries. It happened Monday night near P Street and Bell Terrace. P Street had to be blocked for a time while officers investigated. The man was rushed to Kern Medical. His condition is unknown. BPD currently has no suspect information. Drivers should be ready for overnight lane closures on Highway 58. Construction crews will start work on the bridge at Highway 99. According to the city of Bakersfield, the eastbound lanes of Highway 58 will be totally closed from 10 p.m. Thursday until 6 a.m. Friday, so crews can pour stem and soft concrete. Drivers will be detoured onto southbound Highway 99, exit to turn left on White Lane, then enter northbound 99 to reach eastbound Highway 58. Also, the Ming Avenue on-ramp to northbound 99 westbound 58 will be closed for survey work. If you would like to get into the Kern County Fair without buying a ticket, a donation of 6 canned non-perishable food items will do the trick. It's Feed the Need Day, and the Kern County Fair is giving away a free ticket for those 6 cans of non-perishable food today. Feed the Need Day is hosted by the Kern County Fair. Last year, over 20,000 cans were collected for the Community Action Partnership of Kern County. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 23rd day of September. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. I want to thank Teresa Golder for joining us as per usual. In the meantime, Kamala Harris's book, 107 Days, has hit bookstores. I am headed there tonight, and I would figure I will have it finished by next Monday. I'm not going to play golf Saturday. I'm going to play with Swaim and the boys on Sunday. So I'm going to clean my kitchen Saturday. Oh, God, no, what am I talking about? Saturday is a bad day for me. Have you confirmed the time of that Kings game?
No, give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please. And I'm signed up at another event that maybe Romeo did tell me about, and I'm just blacking out, which I'm good for the crime, unfortunately. You know, that's what's so sad about being old. When people, like, something pops up and I don't know about it, people say, well, I told you about it. I can't, like, no, you didn't, because I'm too good for the crime to have forgotten about it. What time does it start?
Doors open at 2. Game starts at 3.
Oh, Lord. I did not know that.
For those of you who have no idea what he's talking about, the Kings and the Ducks will be playing an exhibition preseason game right here in Bakersfield on Saturday.
Yes, they will at 3 p.m. And I thought I was going because I assumed it was at 7 o'clock at night. But I'm in big trouble. I'm in big trouble.
You're stacked.
Well, I had somebody going. I'm in big trouble. Anyway, Kamala Harris appeared on Rachel Maddow last night. She's just hard to look at.
Ooh, Rachel Maddow?
Oh my God. They have put so much pancake makeup on Rachel Maddow. And I looked her up. She's only 52 years old. And anyway, and there are only 2, maybe 3 people in media that I really can't stand. Like, I don't like Chris Cuomo, but there are only 3 that I'm not a Megan Fox fan. I'm not a Tucker Carlson fan, and I'm not a Rachel Maddow fan. And throw Don Lemon in there as well. Throw Joy Reid in there too. So I guess it's 5. So it was difficult to watch this. In fact, I didn't watch it. I sped through. I would listen to the question, and then when I realized that she wasn't going to ask her any tough questions, I just kind of zipped through it. Meantime, this morning on The View, they literally never asked her one question about anything that was in the book. They really didn't. They didn't ask her about her bagging on J.B. Pritzker. They didn't ask her. They did ask her, softball fashion, why, the relationship with the Bidens. She claims her relationship with Joe and Jill is great, but that there was problems between the staffs, and that she said that the recklessness was part of her problem. But then they got to the question. They got to the question because this is really the returning of the scene of the crime, where her campaign really fell apart when Sonny Hostin asked her if there's anything that you would do differently than Joe Biden. And she said, I can't think of a thing. Here was Kamala's response to the follow-up.
I'm a loyal person. And I didn't fully appreciate how much people wanted to know there was a difference between me and President Biden. I thought it was obvious. And I didn't want to offer a difference in a way that would be received or suggested to be a criticism.
Okay, where does one begin? So what you're telling me is that you were the only one in the Democratic Party that recognized that this was a failed presidency? Kamala, the reason that you were in the #1 spot, the sole and singular reason that you were the nominee is because the presidency was such a ridiculous, embarrassing failure, to the point where the man who did get nominated couldn't even fulfill his position as the nominee. And I said this yesterday, she's obviously an intelligent woman. She obviously has a high IQ. She graduated from one of the best historically Black colleges in the nation, Howard University. She was the Attorney General of the state of California. She was the District Attorney of San Francisco, and she was one of 100. She was the second Black woman in the history of the United States to serve in the United States Senate. You don't just stumble into those positions by being stupid. You can fall into those positions by being dumb, and this woman is dumb. It is remarkable to think that you were catapulted into a position because the guy that was in the position couldn't handle it. And when she says Biden chose to step aside, we all know that that's a lie. Is there anyone who can hear my voice that truly believes that Joe Biden wanted to leave the stage? Anybody? Just one. That's insanity. Joe was forced off the stage the way Sandman Sims comes on the Apollo stage with a hook and brings people off the stage. Again, for the Caucasian members of our audience, there is a studio in Harlem called the Apollo Theater. And one of the traditions of the Apollo Theater was a tap dancer by the name of Sandman Sims. And when you stunk and the audience literally began to boo, they would start playing some music and Sam would come with a hook and literally hook you and pull you off the stage. That is exactly what happened to Joe Biden. Exactly what happened to Joe Biden. And for this woman to claim that she didn't appreciate the fact that she was a part of one of the most failed presidencies in recent history, that she doesn't understand that Joe Biden is going to go down. His legacy will be worse than Nixon's. Worse than Nixon's. At least Nixon had his faculties when he was forced from the presidency. This man was forced out because he simply couldn't do the job. He simply wasn't up to it. Does anybody believe that Joe thought that? Does anybody believe that Joe thinks that right this very moment? And it's just remarkable the things that she said. Do you know what she said? They asked her about the night that she lost, the night where they had to wipe off the Madam President cupcakes. She said, I have never grieved like this since my mother died. I lost total and all respect for her at that point. I've had a parent die. June 24th, 1999, the single worst day in my life. I've been fired from 4 different companies. I've lost women. I've lost a sister. I've been in trouble. I've been thrown in the hoosgow. I've been called ugly names. I've been sucker punched twice in the jaw and had to go to the hospital by myself because my friends abandoned me. And nothing in my life compares to the Saturday morning when Dr. Wilbur Salisbury called me and said, your father is dead. And for this narcissistic woman to compare losing even a presidential election to the death of your mother? Really? This is the issue with Kamala Harris. The more you see her, the more she talks, the more you don't like her, and the more you can't relate to her. Really? Losing a presidential election as big as it is, and maybe I don't comprehend it. Maybe being the leader of the free world is so big that you can equate that to the death of the person that nurtured you and that made you everything that you are. And maybe I'm just sensitive. I don't know. I don't know why that touched a nerve with me, but obviously it touched my vertebrae, let alone a nerve. I still have PTSD from the death of my father. I still cry over my father not being here, and he'd be 83 years old. Even if he didn't work himself to death, he probably wouldn't be here at 83. My mother has outlived just about every friend she's had at 83 years of age. But to compare a life failure with the loss of a parent, I can't relate to this woman. And then I caught her. Because another one of the many reasons she lost this election, she's just a phony. She's inauthentic. The fake laugh to try to get through a moment and the rehearsed answers that she gave on the campaign, and now the rehearsed answers she's giving in a book review. This was her answer on the Rachel Maddow show. Pay attention, we're gonna have to play them both twice, but here was her answer last night, live on MSNBC.
One of the reasons I wrote this book, Rachel, is there are actually a number of reasons. One is that it is unprecedented. Right, to your point of what you said in your opening, we had a president of the United States running for re-election, 3.5 months from the election, decides not to run. The sitting vice president enters the race against a former president of the United States who's been running for 10 years with 107 days to go. And it ended up being the closest presidential election in the 21st century.
Not true!
And there was so much about those 107 days that for me, and this is really a behind the scenes look at those 107 days, was about seeing people who seemingly had nothing in common coming together by the thousands with a level of optimism and, dare I say, joy.
Dare I say,
about
joy.
the possibilities for America. And I hope to remind people about that light that people brought to it, and to remind people that light is still there.
That light is still there.
And we
Okay,
can't
okay, that's enough. Dare I say more? That light that still shines. That's what she said last night. A man that ran for 10 years. Okay, here's what she said at about 10 o'clock East Coast time this morning on The View.
I wrote the book is, this is unprecedented. Think about this.
Yeah.
That there's a race for president of the United States. The current sitting president is running for re-election. 3.5 months from the election, he decides not to run. The sitting vice president then takes the mantle, running against a former president of the United States who had been running for 10 years with 107 days until the election. And by the way, another piece of what is unprecedented and a bit historical about that race, it is the closest
election
race
in the 21st century.
in terms of the outcome.
Which is not true. Keep going, keep going. Oh, that's it? She didn't get to the light and the joy, and dare I say more? There was more to it, and it's identical. And for those of you who know a little bit about history, she's claiming that her election was closer than Gore Bush, which of course went into overtime, and we came up with the word Chads because it was so close they had to recount it, and I believe it was a difference of less than 1,000 votes. So she's putting forward a claim that's not even true, and Maddow, and of course none of these stupid broads on the damn dais of The View have enough history 25 years ago to point out, Madam Vice President, that's not really true. That's not really true. And even if you want to parse words and say, well, 2000 isn't exactly the 21st century. Oh, yes, it is. And even if you want to say it's not, then Bush was inaugurated in 2001, which I'm pretty sure is the 21st century, but 2000 is the 20th century. 1999 is the end of the 20th century. So she's spitting out things that she's memorized. And because she won't go on Bill Maher or Joe Rogan or Ralph Bailey or any show where she'll be challenged, she can go on and lie about recent history. She's not talking about the 60 election. She's not talking about Franklin Roosevelt in 32. She's talking about one of those famous watched elections in recent American history that just happened 25 years ago. Hell, Burdick remembers. He was 6 years old. He wanted to vote. Are you kidding me? This didn't happen 50, 60 years ago. I have no words. And this woman wanted to be the leader of the free world. And here's my final note. She's running. She's running. They did not, I know what I forgot to add. Here are some of the questions that these professional national big shots should have asked. And I'm just a lowly, tiny little former reporter in a tiny little market. Tightest election of the 21st century. What about Gore Bush, Madam President? And was that closer given you were swept? And was it really that close given the fact that you were swept in all 7 swing states? Another question that wasn't asked that should have been asked. Isn't it homophobic to say you couldn't have chosen Pete Buttigieg? And why put that on America? That's your own personal belief that America wasn't ready for Pete Buttigieg. What you're doing is you're saying that America is homophobic. I'm not homophobic. Remember what she said? Deep in my heart, I really wanted to go for it, but the stakes were too high, and I couldn't take the risk. America wasn't ready for a black woman married to a Jew and a gay vice president. Don't put your own little narrow-minded stupidity on America. Don't put that on all of us. Lady, that was your decision. You're the one that didn't have the guts to say, I'm the badass here. You think Trump would make a mistake like that? You think Trump would make a decision like that? You've got to be an alpha, excuse me, ladies, male to be the leader of the free world. And if you don't have the guts to say, I'll carry Chris Burdick to the White House if I have to. But no, you got to point fingers. You're not going to own it. And I couldn't have picked Pete because he would have cost me. So I had to stick with Waltz. And look what happened. Papajenko, look what I got. Also should have been asked, how do you explain the many celebrities, but the downward and the billions of dollars that you accumulated in 3 months, except there was a downward plunge from the time of the convention until the bottom of the election? Do you regret saying that the border was secure? Can you explain why Barack and Michelle took 2 weeks to endorse you, and while Nancy Pelosi insisted on having a primary? And can you explain why J.B. Pritzker, the Illinois governor, refused to endorse you, insisting that the convention was in his state, so he had to stay out of it? If you were such a great candidate, Madam Vice President, why didn't all these people endorse you full-throatedly right from the get-go? Because you are an albatross around the Democratic Party. And like Mr. Newsom, I pray to God that you run for president. I really do. I would love to see the two of you try to bump your way out of the state. You both played horrendous roles, both as a senator, as the top cop, even as a DA in San Francisco. Papajenko, look what you left them. Please, Madam Vice President, run again in 28, please. Good googly moogly. My defeat in the presidency was equal to the death of my mother. Quick time out. Not a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM.
You got Messmaker right here. Do you want to do it?
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the Californian will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll bring you the very latest and state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now that Jerome Powell has lowered federal interest rates, now the discussion begins, will he do it again? Well, that's what we're going to talk about on Thursday at 4:30 with our money man, Daniel Petrie. And as I always remind you guys, that's why Daniel is so important to this program. Not only does he put forward an incredible organization, Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, that can help you with retirement. Call him today at 395-9400. 395-9400. But he's an incredible cog on this broadcast, bringing his economic knowledge along with his political skills, telling you what's going on inside the Beltway with Jerome Powell and the Fed, and how, most importantly, it impacts you. Again, call Daniel Petrie, 395-9400, or just keep it locked. Tune in this Thursday, 4:30, when Mr. Petrie joins us as per usual, Daniel Petrie, and the folks with Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future, option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Inc., DBA Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
Please meet Paul Sheldon's client, Vivian Rushing.
Hi, my name is Vivian Rushing. I am a client of Paul Sheldon. They helped me get everything in order. I had no clue what I was doing, and they were wonderful. The staff is amazing. Lynn and Kelly go out of their way to make you feel comfortable when you walk through the doors and make sure you have everything that you need. Paul is very accommodating. He uses himself as an example to help you understand the process of the insurance and what benefits you should be looking at and what you shouldn't be looking at and how to go about getting it together. I have recommended Paul Sheldon. Just a couple of days ago, I was in line to get my medications, and this gentleman was talking about retiring and didn't know what to do. I told him, contact Paul Sheldon. He's the best. I just want to say thank you, Paul Sheldon. You're wonderful and your staff is amazing.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298. The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit FVGradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now. 800-417-6411. That's 800-417-6411. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an actual bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498.
Snakes.
What are you waiting for? Call 1-800-417-6411. 800.
All kind of animals.
Do we count insects?
Hell yeah. Flies,
animals.
larvae.
Yeah.
program or its affiliates.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
You know, I hate to quote people in the chat room because you don't know whether they're being serious or whether they're a 12-year-old kid, especially when they're like stupid and ridiculous and silly. But sometimes they're so stupid and so ridiculous and silly that you have to read them. There's some person in here called Be True who writes, and this is a direct quote, "The Charlie Kirk case is about as solid as the Jussie Smollett case was. It stinks and has Patsy written all over it." I just thought I'd bring some levity to the broadcast today. That's pretty funny. It's stupid as all get out, but it's pretty funny. Back half of the four. It's TRBS. Don't go anywhere.
Summer sweat. Some dance to remember.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180
So I called up
KERN.
the captain. I said, please bring me my
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell on Tuesday signaled a cautious approach to future interest rate cuts, in sharp contrast with other Fed officials who've called for a more urgent approach. In remarks in Providence, Rhode Island, Powell noted that there are risks to both the Fed's goals of seeking maximum employment and stable prices. His approach is in sharp contrast to some members of the Fed's rate-setting committee who are pushing for faster cuts. President Trump says Ukraine can win back all territory lost to Russia. It's a dramatic shift from the U.S. leader's call on Kyiv to make concessions. Trump offered his position in a social media posting soon after meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 88 points. This is SRN News.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. More than 4,000 Bakersfield residents were affected by a power outage Monday morning. The outage was reported just after 7:30 a.m. According to the PG&E website, the outages were mainly in neighborhoods surrounding South Union Avenue and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. No word on the cause. Power for most customers was reportedly restored in between 1 and 1:30 p.m. If you would like to get into the Kern County Fair without buying a ticket, a donation of 6 canned non-perishable food items will do the trick. It's Feed the Need Day, and the Kern County Fair is giving away a free ticket for those 6 cans of non-perishable food today. Feed the Need Day is hosted by the Kern County Fair. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Hi, I'm Andrew McCollum, CEO of Philo, the streaming TV company that's proud to be different. At Philo, we put the audience first. It sounds simple, but how often are you frustrated just trying to watch TV? I run a streaming company, and even I can't figure it out. From hidden fees to impossible to break contracts to dozens of confusing apps, TV has gotten way too hard. So we set out to make it better. You want to watch live TV from the channels you've always loved, like Discovery, A&E, Nickelodeon, and more? Philo's got you covered. You want to discover something new from our library of over 80,000 movies and shows? Then save every episode for up to a year so you can skip all the ads? No problem. Your favorite show is over, and you want to take a break from your subscription? We've made it as easy as possible, and you can still enjoy more than 100 free channels. We built Philo so that you can love the way you watch TV for a price you can afford. Because at Philo, we're TV fans too. Head to philo.tv/Andrew to start a free trial and see for yourself. That's philo.tv/Andrew.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, what's going on in corporate America? Disney decided to put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air. Have they not heard the people who voted for Trump? We'll discuss that coming up on Clay and Buck Plus.
Plus, Jim Jordan scheduled to join us to talk about YouTube, admitting, guess what? They did censor so many of us who were speaking out against COVID. We'll break that down for you, too.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show. Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
You know, we used to close the show with this every night back in the day. Love me some Antonio Benedetto. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's check the board. We haven't done that all day.
Ralph, what strength on reading glasses do you need? Dollar General has some nice ones for $10.
I don't know. I think it's like 1.75. I don't know. Probably the strongest they got. I don't know. These will hang on for a little bit. I just popped the lens. I laid on them last night, and I popped the lens. They're not too bad. I like the lower glasses. Well, they make you look even older. I was thinking about getting the big black ones and try to pretend like they're just regular glasses, but I don't know. Everybody's concerned about my glasses. It's weird what will generate conversation because everybody in the chat room was like, dollar store, Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree, Dollar Store. What else you got?
Trump on the world stage at the EU is an embarrassment. He is a buffoon. Play a piece on Trump talking about global warming. The world is laughing at this fool.
Well, I'm glad you got 3 more years of him. So get used to it. And to think that you're calling this guy a fool, you obviously didn't watch The View today. You obviously didn't watch Rachel Maddow today. It is maybe the lesser of 2 evils, but let's make it clear, it's not even close. If there's anybody out there that truly wanted either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris leading this nation, you have lost your ever-loving mind. And if you haven't figured that out by now, just based on what she said in this book, the things that she said in these interviews, the rehearsed. Think about that. This is a woman who wanted to be the leader of the free world, and she's got rehearsed verbatim answers to questions on a book tour. On a book tour. And the so-called fool that you talk about has daily news conferences, sometimes multiple news conferences, on the plane, on the way to Marine One, in the Oval Office, at the UN today. He takes questions, unlike Joe Biden, who the media wouldn't see for months, who members of his cabinet have now reported they didn't talk to him for days. The Secretary of Defense went AWOL with some sort of ailment, was at Walter Reed Hospital, and the President of the United States, Uncle Fluffy, Weekend at Bernie's, had no clue. Had no clue. Can you imagine what the national media would do if Pete Hegseth disappeared for 3 or 4 days and then had come to find out he was at Walter Reed having whatever kind of surgery? And you know who'd be one of the leaders of bagging on him, and it'd be me, because I think he's an idiot. But to compare that to the Uncle Fluffy administration, you can say whatever you want about Trump, but it's the basic Reagan question. Are we better off today than we were at any point during the Biden administration when inflation was 9.1, when the Russians were on the cusp of going into Ukraine? And the only thing Joe Biden could do as the leader of the free world, as the commander-in-chief of the most powerful country in the world, was to say, don't. He didn't give Ukraine weapons preemptively to stop the invasion from the get-go. He didn't do anything to warn off Vladimir Putin. He didn't threaten any type of sanctions or punishment if you actually went in. He just let them in. And the border today is secure. That fool that you referenced shut down the border. Your guy, Weekend at Bernie's, not only claimed that it was secure, but invited folks in. Why? Because the Democratic Party believed that those people would vote for them. You don't really have to be a political science professor to understand why in the world Democrats would absolutely not even ignore the border, but absolutely invite people in, make incentives for people from these horrendous countries, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Mexico, to just come flooding in because they saw votes. That's why. Or they just were absolutely incompetent beyond the absolute possibility of within the realm of possibility. It's one of the two. And I'm betting we can get these people to vote for us. We can get them in here illegally, just get them in here and get them on the tax roll. They'll be voting Democratic. They're not going to vote Republican. And you're calling this guy a fool? We are closer to peace in Ukraine than we've ever been. At least this president did something about it. Fluffy did absolutely nothing for 4 freaking years. You can say whatever you want. Even my most loyal listeners know I'm not the greatest fan of Donald Trump, but if he ran in 28, I'd vote for him again over a Democrat every single day. There's no candidate, if you're realistic. Let me put it this way. If you agree with everything that your candidate says, you're a freak. It's like saying, I agree with everything that comes out of my wife's pie hole. Oh, we're one-on-one with just on every single issue. We don't disagree about anything. You disagree with every candidate that you vote for. But at the end of the day, on the first Tuesday in November, it's the lesser of two evils, and it has been for many years in this country. The last time I went to a voting booth on the first Tuesday in November and felt really, really good about who I was voting for was, I was a liberal Democrat, and it was with Bill Clinton. And 92 to 2000 were some pretty good years in this country. But since then, for me, it's been, who is the lesser of two evils, George Bush or Al Gore? Good googly moogly. And I was right in between at that point. I was not a Republican. I was not a Democrat. I could have voted for either one of those guys. And the more I heard about Al Gore, the more I just said, I got to vote for Bush. And I was absolutely right. Al Gore was a United States Senator from the great state of Tennessee. His father, Al Gore Sr., was a senator from the great state of Tennessee. And Al Gore couldn't win the state of Tennessee. Why? Because I just explained it to you. His father was a senator in Al's childhood. So where did Al grow up? In Nashville? No. I spent more years, literally, I spent more years in Nashville than Al Gore. My father graduated from med school at Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee. My second sister, oldest of the two, was born in Nashville, Tennessee. Al grew up in D.C. Al went to the very same private schools that the Obama kids went to. People in Nashville didn't know him. And the most tragic thing for Al Gore, if he wins his home state, there are no Chads, there's no recounts. He's the president of the United States and follows in the footsteps of his successor, Bill Clinton. And then there was Obama McCain. Good googly moogly. God, I'd like to vote for a brother, but I just can't do it. And I'm stuck with McCain and then Romney. Are you kidding me? But now we've got a to-do president who, even when I disagreed with him on Ukraine, he's come back around, and now we have a strong position against Russia. Vladimir, you send your drones and your jet planes in the NATO countries, we're going to shoot them down, brother. Make that clear. Any attack on a NATO nation is an attack on all NATO nations. And if we don't uphold that, if Article 5 of the NATO treaty somehow breaks down, what do you think Vladimir Putin's going to do? If he knows he can waltz into Poland and some of these countries? And what do you think World War II was all about? Oh, we can do business with Mr. Hitler. we're just going to give him some territory. Are you kidding? I really truly find it hard to believe that Democrats, knowing what they know now, truly believe that they would prefer Kamala Harris be in the White House right now. This indecisive non-leader who insisted that she didn't have the guts to put a gay man on her ticket for fear that she would lose. That's just not leadership. That's not leadership. Not when you're on top of the ticket. Not when people like Dan Quayle have been elected on the bottom of the ticket. Not when people like Walter Mondale have been on the bottom of the ticket and won. People don't vote for the president based on who the vice president is. It's all about what you are going to do for the American public. And Kamala just doesn't understand that. And like I said, I literally can't get my brain around how anyone could possibly think that this woman who wrote a book called 107 Days and is taking absolutely no responsibility for her failed campaign, and who literally said on The View this morning, I just didn't have enough time. You know what that's like? That's like the guy that loses to Usain Bolt and said, if I just had 5 more yards. That's like Russell Wilson saying, if I had just had another quarter, I'd have beaten Patrick Mahomes Sunday night. What are you talking about, Kamala? You weren't on the rise. Like if she were on the rise going into November, like she had momentum in, what comes for November? October? Like if it had been like now, like the middle of September, and there was a trend where she was inching closer and closer to Donald Trump, then yeah, you could say, oh, if I had only had another week, if I'd only had another month. But no, go look at it. I don't make this stuff up. Go look at the trend. Her apex was the weekend after the convention, which, by the way, at that point, she had not been endorsed by all the Democrats. Remember, it was Nancy Pelosi that wanted a primary. It was Barack and Michelle who waited 2 weeks after her announcement to endorse her. They knew, smart politicos knew what they were getting. I read you the other day. Oh, it's in the other legal pad. I left my bag in JR's car from the thing, and I had to use another legal pad. But David Axelrod wrote a scathing review of her book, who said something to the effect that if this is some sort of political agenda, it's a bad one, where she takes on Pritzker, where she takes on Shapiro, she bags on Buttigieg. That's why I'm saying she's going to run. I really think she's going to run. I really do. I mean, it's hard to be able to predict because this woman is so incredibly indecisive and so ridiculously dumb, not stupid, but dumb, that maybe she would be stupid enough to try to come out of a state where the sitting governor is also trying to get that spot. Maybe. I don't understand the logic in going after your fellow Democrats unless you just intend to take Doug and go to Belize and just you wanted one final shot at the Obamas and J.D. Pritzker and Shapiro and all the people that you feel that didn't back you strongly enough. This is the failed quarterback who is saying, I don't have an offensive line. My receivers aren't catching the ball. I didn't have the support of the coaching staff. The general manager was against me. She never at any point says, I blew it. I blew it. I should have answered that question. What would I have done differently better? I should have had the guts to go with the person that I felt would be best to serve the White House if I couldn't. But instead, she showed what an incredibly calculated, safe, let's lick our finger and see which way the wind is blowing type candidate. And you can't win like that. It's just not leadership. And there are two things that are easy to spot: leadership and a lack thereof. They're really, really simple to spot. And how any of you on the left can look at that woman and think that she could lead the free world. No words, other than I got to take a break. We'll come right back, check what you all are talking about on the board. That's what we were doing when I went on a little minor rant. Coming up at 5, for those of you driving home, we talked with Crystal Meyer from Leadership Bakersfield. We had a 3:15, an unprecedented first half hour interview. So we're going to re-air that for you at 5 o'clock. And then I've got a tragic story out of the NFL, Rudy Johnson, guy that I was incredibly familiar with, but nevertheless, an NFL player suffering from CTE, according to his family, took his own life at the age of 45. And the NFL is just going to pass over this thing. There won't be any kind of press conference, any kind of maybe more discussion about CTE and what they can do for the generation of guys. Because I'll give you this. I think the NFL's done a decent job in reacting and making the game safer, changing the kickoff rules, changing helmets, changing the amount of time you can hit during OTAs, during training camp, et cetera, but they have done nothing for the guys of the 20th century and the guys that are getting into their 50s and their 60s who are now suffering from CTE. We'll get into that before we get out of here. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.
Casey?
On the next Armstrong and Getty Show, boy, did Donald J. ruffle a lot of feathers at the UN, given his big blockbuster, somewhat rambling speech. We'll bring you the highlights and the controversies.
Oh, it's going to be insufferable, but Jimmy Kimmel back on TV, what he says, and then the reaction to what he says, and then the reaction of the reaction. We will have all of that on the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Halloween is right around the corner. I don't really believe that, but you know how Halloween is. People celebrate it whenever they want. My neighbors literally already have their Halloween stuff up. And you know who loves the holidays, restaurateur, planning commissioner, and overall good egg, Cassie Biddle. And she's got October 31st to remember coming up. It's 1001 Nights Halloween at KC Steakhouse. She's telling her folks, skip the costume party and join us for dinner and a belly dancing show. That's right, belly dancers at KC Steakhouse Halloween night. It's $150 per guest and includes 3 hours of performances from different belly dancers, a 5-course meal cooked by my good friend Chef Daniel, 2 craft cocktails, and of course, you got to take pictures with the dancers. It's going to be an incredible Halloween night at KC Steakhouse. And where would you rather be than on F Street on Halloween than in the capable of hands of Cassie Biddle's incredible staff at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
You've used KV Print and Bakersfield signs for all your print marketing products throughout time. Why? Because we've been doing it right for over 35 years. And now KV Print and Bakersfield Signs are excited to unveil our brand new 10,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility. At KV Print and Bakersfield Signs, we don't just print, we help bring your brand to life. From vibrant brochures and business cards to custom vehicle wraps to branded company apparel and eye-catching storefront signage. KV Print and Bakersfield Signs provides high-quality marketing materials that get you noticed. Whether you're promoting a new product, outfitting your team, or turning your vehicle into a branding machine for your business, we've got you covered with fast turnarounds, great prices, and the personalized local service you deserve. Are you ready to stand out? Visit kvprint.com or call 661-327-1772 today for a free quote. KV Print and Bakersfield Signs, your brand, your style, our print.
Did you hear? The best performing assets of 2025 aren't stocks. They are precious metals. This year, gold and silver have risen a staggering 29%. And some experts believe the gold and silver bull market has just begun. Central banks are buying gold to protect against the falling dollar, and silver, it's powering the future. With skyrocketing demand for solar, EVs, and AI, silver is the new oil. So how high could gold and silver soar? Find out. Call Lear Capital, the precious metals leader, at 800-957-GOLD. Get your free wealth protection kit and see how gold and silver could help your retirement dreams come true. With over $3 billion in trusted transactions, thousands of 5-star reviews, Lear is your trusted source. Call now, 800-957-GOLD. That's 800-957-GOLD. 800-957-4653.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I love this song. I love this song. We got to get to the hook. I'll cut it off in a second. Let it down because neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye. 842-537-6842 KERN. I guess I have to entertain this 12-year-old who's in the chat room who claims that Charlie Kirk is a patsy.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to, but yeah.
Let's just remind everybody that the alleged shooter not only confessed to his parents, to his pastor, but to his transsexual lover. There are palm prints on the building where we witnessed him jumping down from. There is proof that the weapon that was used was in fact his grandfather's, and we heard through a slew of text messages how concerned he was, more so about returning the rifle to his dad because it was handed down by his father than he was being caught by the FBI or the Secret Service. So, young man, because I find it hard to believe, be true in the chat room, you're an adult. Young man, you really need to read the newspapers and pay attention to the news, because this man is going to be convicted inside of a week. The trial will take several days, and I suspect the jury will take a day and come back with a guilty verdict. And then to bring up Jesse Smollett? Really? Apparently you're a young black child. Because I don't even know black people that think that Jesse Smollett didn't pull off one of the most ridiculous fiascos in the history of entertainment business just to up his contract, where even the two so-called MAGA people that he hired to beat him up, because, you know, he was going to get a sandwich at 1:30 in the morning on a 38-degree night in Chicago. And, you know, who doesn't ignore DoorDash and Uber Eats and goes for a walk in 38-degree weather in Chicago in the middle of the morning? Who doesn't do that? I think everybody does that, right? So, young man, and I only assume you're a young man, maybe you're a young child, female, but son or daughter or young lady, you couldn't be more wrong. Because there's no way that's an adult. There's no way that's a free-thinking grown person whose lobes have all developed correctly to say that the killer of Charlie Kirk was a patsy. Or maybe you're just looking for some airtime and you want to hear me respond, which I gave it to you, so I hope you're happy. Radio business
is a strange animal, Jack. It truly, truly is. But I loves it, and I does it. 21 years, Jackson. 21 years. We headed to the 5 earlier in the broadcast. Crystal Meyer from Leadership Bakersfield joined us. She'll tell you about a clothing drive that's going on tomorrow that you can participate, happening down at Compassion Corner, right across the street from KGET. I'll tell you about the story of Rudy Johnson, the Cincinnati Bengal running back, took his own life at 45 years of age. He had just started at the earlier part of the year a foundation. He was raising money for low-income people in the community that he grew up in. Was financially stable, but much like Junior Seau and Dave Duerson. And I don't know whether it'll be interesting to see if he shot himself in the chest the way Duerson and Junior Seau did. And of course, the reason they did that is because they wanted their brains examined by their families because they knew they had CTE. Final hour of the broadcast. I'd stick around if I you.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERN.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm
The only reason it came to me
in Washington. The man who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump at a Florida golf course last year has been found guilty, White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The jury of 5 men and 7 women found Ryan Ruth guilty on all counts that he was facing. After the verdict, Ruth tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen, but was quickly restrained by officers. Prosecutors say he spent weeks plotting to kill Trump, but did not fire his weapon. Ruth, who represented himself in court, faces life in prison with sentencing scheduled for December. Greg Clugston, Washington.
NATO takes a stand against recent Russian airspace breaches. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
The NATO warning from Moscow comes after the downing earlier this month of Russian drones over Poland and Estonia's report of intrusional Russian fighter jets last week. Estonia said 3 Russian jets had entered its airspace for 12 minutes on Friday without authorization, a charge Russia's rejected. In the statement, the alliance says Russia should be in no doubt. NATO and allies will employ, in accordance with international law, all necessary military and non-military tools to defend ourselves and deter all threats from all directions, underlining a commitment to Article 5 of its founding treaty that an attack on any one ally must be considered an attack on them all. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Trump says he believes Ukraine can win back all territory lost to Russia. It's a dramatic shift from the U.S. leader's former repeated calls on Kyiv to make concessions to end the war. Trump posted on social media Tuesday soon after meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 88 points, the Nasdaq dropped 215, the S&P lower by 36. More at townhall.com.
Is the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians the revival of an ancient conflict recorded in the Bible?
The nation of Israel is a resurrected nation. So what if there was going to be a resurrection of another people, an enemy people of Israel?
Dinesh D'Souza's new film, The Dragon's Prophecy, offers new understanding of October 7th, Israel, radical Islam, anti-Semitism, and biblical prophecy to the fate of the world, of humanity itself, be tied to this place.
We came back to a land that was locked in barren, and we brought it back to life, and we're going to keep it.
The dragon will not prevail.
Based on Jonathan Cahn's international bestseller, Dinesh D'Souza's new film, The Dragon's Prophecy, is in theaters October 6th and 8th. Streaming and DVDs available October 9th. See the trailer and order your streaming or DVD at thedragonsprophecyfilm.com. Thedragonsprophecyfilm.com. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. The inmate who escaped during transport to a Kern Medical appointment has been found. 23-year-old Francisco Garcia escaped from Kern Medical at around 11 o'clock Saturday night. He was seen running eastbound from the hospital. He escaped while in transport The Kern County Sheriff's Office is not sharing further details on his escape or his capture. According to the
True.
DA's office, Garcia,
True
who is a
that.
rap artist, was convicted on 2 counts of attempted murder and other charges. He is facing 80 years to life in prison. A new Senate bill co-authored by Valley Senator Melissa Hurtado opens the door to allowing up to 2,000 new oil drilling permits each year in the state for the next 10 years. Hurtado says that it's going to provide economic stability that the state has not had because of an earlier lack of permitting. There are environmental safeguards built into the legislation, including mitigating measures such as clean air, clean water projects, including
Chris,
in areas
how
that
long
aren't
is this?
even around the oil industry.
How long is it?
The Kern County
7 minutes.
7 minutes? That's
Yeah,
it?
you only had her for 7 minutes. Your intro segment was longer than hers.
What do you mean my intro segment?
Like what you came in with was like
That was longer than the interview?
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
after 11:30 Monday night about a single vehicle wreck.
Don't include that.
Sorry, no, I don't mean the intro to the interview. I mean your first segment ate up most of the time for the second segment.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I just clicked to me what you thought I said. No, the other way around.
In the crash. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 23rd day of September. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. We've been following several huge stories today. President of the United States met with the president of Ukraine at the UN today. They talked about many, many things, but I think the earth-shattering news is, A, we found out that Vladimir Putin has invaded Estonia and Poland via drones and jet fighters, invaded their airspace, I should say. The president was asked, should they be shot down? And he answered quite succinctly, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And that is absolutely the only answer a leader of the United States can say. Because if the NATO treaty is somehow cracked, Western Europe is done. The thing that has kept Europe somewhat peaceful since 1945, the end of World War II, was the creation of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the group of Western European nations that have come as one and has told Russia and China that any attack on any NATO country is not only an attack on all of the Western Europe countries, but is also an attack on the United States of America and would have to be met with equal force. And as provocative as it may seem, it is the one deterrent that has, in my opinion, kept Western Europe intact. And any breach of that would be an issue. And I just pray that the Western leaders, Macron and the most recent prime minister in the UK, all feel the same way. The other big story, we're all waiting. It's just hours away now. In fact, I bet they're taping it as we speak. What is Jimmy Kimmel going to say on his first night? As we've talked about, Nexstar and Sinclair, two very large television companies that own ABC affiliates. They also own 2 local affiliates here in town. Nexstar owns the NBC affiliate, KGET, and Sinclair owns the CBS affiliate, KBAK. Meantime, over on ABC, it will be seen here in Bakersfield. Our affiliate station, James Galindo, who I know fairly well, has decided to go with that, despite what some other affiliates, such as they're not going to see it in the District of Columbia. They're not going to see it in Nashville, Tennessee. They're not going to see it. My cousin in Rochester, New York is not going to see it. Nexstar and Sinclair said they're going to preempt it with news. They're not doing it. And as I said yesterday, I think that's a huge mistake. I assumed that all the affiliates would be back on board, if for no other reason that his contract ends up in a couple of months and his numbers are never, ever going to be as large as they're going to be tonight. Everybody and their mama. Are you going to be watching?
I usually don't, but I probably will tonight.
Yeah, I don't see how anybody can, out of just pure curiosity.
If not just for the monologue alone.
Well, and I'm sure it'll be on YouTube and all over the place. But yeah, I'm not hanging around for the show. Are you going crazy? As soon as he goes to commercial break, I'm turning off the TV and going to bed.
You think he says anything, though?
Oh, he has to. He absolutely has to. There's no way he's coming out with jokes. My guess is I never intended to attack Charlie Kirk, although I disagreed with him. I had limited, he'll insist that he had limited information on who the shooter actually was. And for getting it wrong, I will apologize. But I don't think he's going to back away from his other comment that people are ignoring. And that's his belief that the right has tried to make political points out of this. People forget that was, do we have the audio of what he said? Let's just play that so we don't have any misunderstanding as to what exactly Mr. Kimmel said on that fateful night that damn near ruined his career. Here's Jimmy Kimmel.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
MAGA gang desperately trying to say he's not one of them. And who is them? You mean your fellow American citizens? And that we're trying to make political points out of Charlie Kirk's death? That is highly offensive. That is highly offensive. No one's trying to make political points out of this. People are simply trying to point out where we are as a nation. Where a man who, and again, remember, I vehemently disagreed with a lot of things that Charlie Kirk said. And you're saying, well, Ralph, why didn't you step up and say something before he died? Because he was a team member. We're all pulling on the AGM rope. He followed me at 6 o'clock. The last thing I say before I used to leave the show was, keep it locked, coming up at 6, the Charlie Kirk Show. So what, am I, an idiot? I'm going to speak badly about a teammate? And I'm still not going to talk badly about him. I'm not going to get specific as to what I disagreed with him. But there were several comments and several beliefs of his. The whole airplane thing is the one that sticks in my craw, that he saw a black pilot and he was concerned that he was qualified. And now the right is running to his aid and trying to see the bigger picture, that he's worried about DEI and this and that and that and this and this and this, as if the FAA somehow lowers the tests and exams that a pilot has to take, that the evaluations of black pilots are somehow different than white pilots, that somehow the FAA to fulfill DEI just puts in a black guy just 'cause to put a plane up in the air 35,000 miles in the sky? That's idiotic. That's crazy. And there are a lot of people that can make a strong argument that it's flat out racist. I mean, let me ask you, do you think that when you get on a plane and you look back and you see a brother sitting in there? Are you like, oh my God, let's get off the plane? This brother don't know what he's doing. Because let me tell you something, if you think like that, you got a little boogie in you, I'm just saying. It's this inherent idea that black folks just aren't as competent as white folks. And he talked about replacing white America and all this nonsense. It's happening. And we knew we were going to go, well, I knew we were going to go through this transition. It was going to be difficult. Where white America, 10, 15, 20 years from now, it's not going to be the majority. That's reality. And it's going to be a very divisive, very difficult transition. It hasn't evinced itself in power. We haven't seen the numbers in the Senate go up or the number of Congress people go up or even possible presidential candidates. But the idea that he was allowed to say this and was willing to go on college campuses and ask people to prove him wrong is what people are standing up for and what Democrats, for whatever reason, seem to not understand. And we've never seen this kind of reveling in a man's death. Never, never, ever have we seen this. Where people literally losing jobs because they were reveling in a 31-year-old father of two's death. It's just hard to understand. You got somebody?
I do.
Who you got?
Kim is on the line.
Kim, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Hi, Ralph.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you? Enjoy your show. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a quick assessment of your comments on Charlie Kirk's airplane situation. So, in my assessment, his point was that before DEI, if you saw a black person in the cockpit, you wouldn't have thought anything of it. After DEI, when the requirement by the airlines became, we're going from 3% black to 50% black, that instilled the notion that all of a sudden they're doing things that require less than optimal people to be on board. And that was what he didn't say that he saw a black person. He said, if I saw a black person after DEI, knowing that they were going to have to increase a quota by 47%, unnaturally increase that, it would make him question how somebody got there. But prior to DEI, that wasn't a thing. So that, in my opinion, that's how I read it, was that DEI puts those notions in our head that are not naturally there.
But you have to have some sense of racism or some sense of white superiority to think that simply because the FAA, and I'm not sure about your numbers, that they went from 3 to 50%, but let's say they did, you still have to inherently believe that the 47% of African Americans that they bring are somehow not equivalent intelligence-wise with the whites.
No.
Don't you?
What I have to assume is that if they're going to artificially inflate a number, then it's going to be artificial. If it's not naturally 40 or 50%, how are they going to get there?
So you're saying, but what you're saying is the FAA couldn't find enough black folks who are competent?
Not that they couldn't find enough that were competent.
Well, then what's your worry? If you're saying they're going from 3 to 47%, and oh my God, I'm worried because how could they go to those numbers? Why are you assuming that those 47% are not as intelligent as the 47% of the white people that they just replaced?
Because they're admitting that it's artificial. They're saying that we are going to force this percentage. And it's just as if, just like Harvard.
And so those 47%, so those 47% aren't going to be trained and have to pass the same exams and have to do the very same things that the 40% that they just replaced? That they're saying that they dropped the requirements to bring in black people to fly a plane?
That it makes you question it. The point is that it makes you question it because
if you've got a little boogity boogity in you.
Because because DEI by definition makes the decision based on race.
And you think that the FAA would lower requirements for a pilot because of DEI?
What I can say is that requirements have been lowered because of DEI across the board. So it makes me believe that the FAA is no different from other organizations.
Kim, simply not true. The requirements to fly a plane have not been dropped because of DEI. I'm sorry, you're just wrong.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Damn interview. Are we have enough time?
Well, now, this is embarrassing. I used to run around Kern County like
It
a
works
summer
out better,
queen,
actually.
buzzing through barbecues, laying eggs and bird baths and potted plants,
out better,
spreading
actually,
West
if you
Nile
look
like
at
party
the hour.
favors. But this year, y'all got smart. You dumped your standing water,
Perfect.
you shut your windows, you called Kern Mosquito so many times, I got evicted.
Perfect.
Unbelievable. But listen here. Don't
but
get
I still need
excited
to
just
introduce
yet.
it, don't
I
I?
don't go into hibernation till November. That means there's still time for a comeback, baby. So please,
should've-
let that kiddie pool turn green. Forget the insect repellent. I double dog dare you. Or keep doing what you're doing. Visit kernmosquito.com. Keep dumping out those containers and ruining the rest of my year. Whatever. Bless your overachieving little hearts.
KernMosquito.com. Free county mosquito services. That's KernMosquito.com.
Hi, I'm Andrew McCollum, CEO of Philo, the streaming TV company that's proud to be different. At Philo, we put the audience first. It sounds simple, but how often are you frustrated just trying to watch TV? I run a streaming company, and even I can't figure it out. From hidden fees to impossible to break contracts to dozens of confusing apps, TV has gotten way too hard. So we set out to make it better. You want to watch live TV from the channels you've always loved, like Discovery, A&E, Nickelodeon, and more? Philo's got you covered. You want to discover something new from our library of over 80,000 movies and shows? Then save every episode for up to a year so you can skip all the ads? No problem. Your favorite show is over? You want to take a break from your subscription? We've made it as easy as possible, and you can still enjoy more than 100 free channels. We built Philo so that you can love the way you watch TV for a price you can afford. Because at Philo, we're TV fans too. Head to philo.tv/Andrew to start a free trial and see for yourself. That's philo.tv/Andrew.
Please meet Paul Sheldon's client, Rod Geis.
Hello, Kern County. This is Rod Geis. My wife and I recently changed our health care coverage to Medicare. We were so fortunate to have found Paul Sheldon. Paul and his associates Kelly, Lynn, and Christine were indispensable in guiding us through the transition. They have comprehensive knowledge and experience in all aspects of insurance, Medicare, and the option. They listened to our questions every time we walked in the door, and they followed up very promptly with the answers we needed. With Paul's help, we made the best decisions for us. The process was painless, and we now have comprehensive medical coverage at a very affordable price. So if you are considering retirement and a change to Medicare coverage, Paul Sheldon Insurance Benefits and Planning is hands down the best place you can go.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Real quick, because I got to get an interview. I got to introduce this interview with Crystal Meyer that we did early in the broadcast. But again, let me just try to reiterate my point. What Kim is saying is that she believes the understand what you have to believe that DEI has lowered standards. Why would they lower standards? The only reason that you believe that they lower standards is because they couldn't find enough black folks that were competent enough to reach the standards of the white pilots. So based on DEI, to get more black people, they had to lower the standards. Why? Because black folks just ain't as smart as the white people. To believe that DEI would create an incompetent pilot, or even just suggest in your brain that the pilot might not be as competent as a white pilot, means that you think that black folks just couldn't pass the test that the white folks passed. When in fact, some of the greatest pilots in the history of this country, they were called the Tuskegee Airmen. Some of the greatest pilots in the history of this country that had an incredible impact on World War II looked just like me. And that was back in the 1940s. And you're telling me now in the 21st century that the FAA can't find enough competent black pilots, that they had to drop the requirements, and that they're putting up 35,000 feet incompetent black folks just to get the quota? Come on, y'all. You can't honestly believe that. And if you do, I'm sorry, because there are a lot of people that got a little boogity in them and don't even realize it. I've been willing to admit my father had a little boogity in him. Does that make him a racist? My father was not a racist. He was not. But he would say things like, shush, white people. And I'd be like, Pop, you cannot say that. You can say racist things and not be a racist. You can even have racist thoughts, in my opinion, and not be a racist. You can still meet people and try to treat them the way you want to be treated and treat them equally. But I'm sorry, as an African American, I believe there is a thought in most of white America's heads that somehow black folks still just aren't quite as intelligent as white people. And in order to get them into Harvard or to get them into planes, we've got to lower the standards for these black people because they're just not quite as smart as us white folks. And that, if you believe that, you believe that. And Charlie Kirk certainly believed that. I disagree with that. Again, history tells us some of the greatest pilots of the 20th century were black men from Tuskegee, Alabama, who played a significant role in World War II. It's been in all the newspapers. You can go look it up. So excuse me if I take exception to this idea, and I can't wait to get home tonight and see this number that Kim claimed that they went from 3% pilots to 50% pilots. Because I've been on a couple of planes lately and I ain't seen no brothers. Because I always, you know me, Chris, I always take a little peek in the cockpit. I ain't seen no brothers. And she's claiming that it went from 3% to 50%.
That is an extreme jump.
I can't wait to look that up tonight. I cannot wait. We're going to play our interview with Crystal Meyer after the break, and now my phone is getting blown up. Oh, why did I talk about race? But enough about Charlie Kirk's been too. Let's talk baseball or something for a while. Yeah, I didn't want to get into this, Steve and Renee. I didn't want to get into this. I really didn't. But it is what it is. Let's read a text message and get to the bottom, and we'll introduce our interview with Crystal Meyer for the folks that missed it.
Mario has chimed in.
What's up, Mario?
It says, Ralph, historically speaking, the year 2000 is the end of the 20th century.
No, it's not.
And technically, yeah, I thought it began with the 2000 is the beginning of the 21st, and 99 was the end of the 20th.
That's what I always thought. In fact, I
yeah.
thought it was a Jeopardy question that I missed because I thought the same thing. Doesn't matter. Bush was still inaugurated in 2001. Doesn't matter. That election, 2000. Well, let's find out. I don't have time to look at it. What else you got?
Every election except the Obama elections in this century were closer than 2024. That's like saying the Raiders-Redskins Super Bowl was the closest ever. She is dumb. That's from JD.
Yeah, to even imply that an election that was settled about like 9 o'clock that night was close, and that she got swept in every single swing state. No one predicted that. Donald Trump didn't predict that. And for her to get on television and say it was the closest election, that's why I'm telling you, she's running. She's going to run again. I'm telling you, she really is. Dumb. Not stupid. Not stupid. But dumb as a rock. Dumb as a rock. Or I guess dumb as a black pilot. Sorry. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. We're heading into the last half hour of the broadcast. At 3:15 today, we talk with Crystal Meyer from the Leadership Bakersfield. They've got a clothing drive for those of you driving home. I want you to hear this. It's important to get out there and support our community. We'll play that for you when we get back. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump castigated the United Nations as a feckless institution in a speech to the world body on Tuesday, praising the turn America has taken under his leadership, while warning Europe it will be ruined if it doesn't turn away from a double-tailed monster of ill-conceived migration and green energy policies. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell on Tuesday signaled a cautious approach to future interest rate cuts, in sharp contrast with other Fed officials who have called for a more urgent approach. In remarks in Providence, Rhode Island, Powell noted there are risks to both of the Fed's goals of seeking maximum employment and stable prices. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 88 points. This is SRN News.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. The inmate who escaped during transport to a Kern Medical appointment has been found. 23-year-old Francisco Garcia escaped from Kern Medical at around 11 o'clock Saturday night. He was seen running eastbound from the hospital. He escaped while in transport. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is not sharing further details on his escape or his capture. According to the DA's office, Garcia, who is a rap artist, was convicted on 2 counts of attempted murder and other charges. The Kern County Coroner's Office has identified the man who was shot and killed on Vine Street near the fairgrounds last week as 40-year-old Wilberto Ruben Hernandez of Bakersfield. Deputies found the victim. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Homicide detectives are investigating. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. When your reputation's on the line, you don't leave anything to chance, especially your primer. Painters trust Kills primers for a smooth start, strong adhesion, and serious stain-blocking power. And now, the full Kills lineup is available exclusively at the Home Depot. Need it fast? Get same-day or next-day delivery, or order online and pick up in-store. Kills primers. Pro results, faster. The Home Depot. If you're a pro, you know.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the Californian will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll bring you the very latest and state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now.
KERN. Earlier in the broadcast at 3:15, an unprecedented early interview because we were working around Crystal Meyer's schedule. She's from Leadership Bakersfield, but I thought it was important that those of you who are driving home who can't listen to the show for 3 hours get an opportunity to hear about what's going on tomorrow at Compassion Corner. Here is my good friend Crystal Meyer. Crystal Meyer is live in studio, as those of you who are subscribing on YouTube can see. The lovely leader of, or part of Leadership Bakersfield and wedding planner. Hi, Robbie.
Hey, Robbie.
before I do that.
Sorry, YouTubers. Read what I read that made me conclude that the former vice president was wrong when she said that she had the closest election of the 21st century.
So this is coming from Google AI, but it says the closest U.S. presidential election of the 21st century was the 2000 election in which George W. Bush defeated Al Gore, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But
if you go to Siri and ask her when does the 21st century begins, she says January 1st, 2001. But that's not the only source where I looked it up, because believe me, I don't just pop these things off the top of my head. I looked them up. And there was another source that said that the closest election of the 21st century was Al Gore v. George Bush. But if you ask your phone, when does the 21st century begin?
Right.
It will say January 1st, 2001. So,
I mean, there are multiple news organizations in this too that are saying that you could constitute the 2016 and 2020 elections as being closer than the 2024.
because Hillary got more votes than he did.
Yeah. I mean,
So how is that not closer than the 2025 election?
That's my thought process. It's this
Well,
woman
she only
technically
lost
won.
by the Electoral College.
Yeah. She technically won, so that by definition should be the closest.
Yes, she got more votes than Donald Trump. So that it had to go to the Electoral College to determine it. So that has to be closer because she got destroyed. What was her Electoral College vote count? I think it's on there. Scroll down a little
let me
bit.
see. Here we go. Oh no, I see Bush and all of them.
I think it's scroll down a little bit. I think it's down there.
The numerical popular vote margin was only 1.6% points for Trump's favor. Give me one sec. I could actually.
Well, I just look it up. Hey Siri, what was the Electoral College count in 2024?
Okay, I found this on the web. For what was the Electoral College count in 2000?
The Electoral College difference was
Kamala had 226. Trump had 312.
that ain't very close. What? Say it again. 314 to 226.
312 to 226.
312 to 226. That ain't very close, Kamala. Just saying.
Almost 100 electoral points.
Yeah, I mean, you got swept in all 7 swing states. Even if we concede that it's not George Bush and Al Gore, to get on television and say that it was a close race when it was over by like 9, 10 o'clock that night, and you lost every swing state, including Arizona and states that they expected her to win.
And just by comparison, too, since we were talking about Hillary and Trump, that year, Donald had 304, Hillary had 227, which is still closer than what you are claiming is closer.
Yep. Just saying. So thank you, Mario. Trying to make you look like a jerk. Appreciate it. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got on the board?
MAGA should be tagged as a domestic terrorist group when they attacked our capital. Then Trump pardoned his militia.
Okay, great. Thank you. You do know that happened years ago, right? You do that was like five years ago. Okay. All right. What else you got? Anything current? Is anybody talking about, I don't know, 2025?
This one is kind of.
All right, good.
The Dave Chappelle stand-up gig on YouTube about Jussie Smollett was a must-see.
It really was.
It was fantastic.
I've seen that. I can't even, we couldn't even play it.
The George Floyd one he did on YouTube too was pretty crazy.
I've never seen that.
It's actually named after, I can't remember, it's however long George had the knee on his neck, he actually named it that.
Yeah.
And it's just talking about it.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting.
The Jussie Smollett thing is just hilarious.
And he
Just
might come back
hilarious.
to acting.
That's what I heard. I heard
He's
that he's in a Netflix thing. Or that's maybe what is causing all this new discussion. Rand Dizzle told me down the hall that there is a new Jussie Smollett or Smollett, I don't know how to pronounce it, on Netflix. I think he's already in a project, if my memory serves, which we know it doesn't, but I'm pretty sure he's already in a project. But the whole thing is just a joke. The fact that he would go out in the middle of the night in Chicago on an almost freezing night to get a Subway sandwich when there's DoorDash and Uber Eats and all kind of different services. The fact that you walk around Chicago at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the summer is insane. The fact that when the police got there, which you know how long it takes for the cops to show up, he still had the so-called noose hanging around his neck that the two so-called assailants were going to use to hang him. Two brothers that he paid off who have since confessed. And yet Smollett continues to say he's innocent. And there are apparently children who listen to our show who are in the chat room who believe that he's not only innocent, but the killer of Charlie Kirk is innocent as well. And it either has to be a child or some numbskull who just thinks for me to repeat that would be funny. You know, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how people get off in the 21st century. But radio is a strange business, boy. What else you got?
Well, tonight will be a big night for him, but he's done after this. If you know this is your smart, or if you know this, you're a smart guy.
Well, and he doesn't even realize what a bad position he's in. You know what I'm saying? They're setting him up to fail because he's going to have the largest audience he's ever had in his life and the largest audience he will ever have in his life. And then after all this drama kind of subsides and we get into major issues like, are we going to shoot down planes over NATO groups? There's a government shutdown that's coming up very soon. Trump is saying that Ukraine can take back the 20. Once we get past this little silly news cycle and the whole Charlie Kirk thing starts to get behind us and the comments that he made starts to get behind us, guess what's going to happen to his ratings? Because there's no way they're going to maintain what he's going to get tonight. Does anybody believe that? Because I'm guessing, again, remember, he averages 1.1 million viewer a night, which is ridiculous. There's probably not a show on Fox that averages 1.1 viewers a night. That's so low. And I'm guessing, and I cannot wait, and if you could take your mornings to look this up, I'll look it up as well. One of us will find it. But I can't wait to see what the overnight ratings are. I'm telling you, I'm guessing 10 million. I really am. I think everybody in media is certainly going to be watching just to see what he says. Does he double down? Does he apologize? Does he bring up Bob Iger, his very close friend, head of Disney? Does he reach out to the affiliates? Does he say something to Nexstar and Sinclair, who are not running him tonight? Because he knows that those general managers and the owners of those stations, whether they run it on their station or not, they're still going to be watching, or they'll read a transcript tomorrow. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating television. Absolutely fascinating. Now, as soon as he throws the commercial break, I'm out. But I damn sure going to stay up till 11:30 tonight. I'll tell you that, boy. And again, his contract is up in January. So, you know, Bob Iger, head of Disney, maybe just hanging on for a couple of more months.
You don't think he's going to try to save his career? Like maybe after all this is over and his contract's done, Disney finds somewhere to throw him a new show? I feel like that relationship is what's going to save his career. I genuinely do.
I have no idea. I just don't think that the late night format is viable any longer. Unless you go back and get Letterman or Carson, or maybe Jack Parr or Steve Allen. I just think that those type of comedians don't exist anymore. You know, Dave Chappelle, for example, you just mentioned. Dave Chappelle couldn't do an 11:30 show.
No.
He'd get canceled the first week. He'd say something and they'd be like, what?
The skits he would want to do.
Oh
too.
my God. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And the only person that I think that could do a late night show successfully would be maybe Bill Maher. Because he's balanced, he's controversial,
but he takes on the right and the left. And we played you that audio from Maher, who talked about the fact that Republicans, because he had Tom Homan on, the border czar, and he said, you know, I got to give you one thing, Mr. Homan. I don't agree with you on anything, but you show up. And that's Republicans. They show up. He invites Republicans on that show. They are part of the panel. There's two forms of Bill Maher's show. He does a monologue because there's a huge Johnny Carson show guy. Then he sits down with a guest one-on-one who's normally writing a book or in the news. And then he goes to the desk and he sits down with normally somebody from the left and somebody from the right. And they go through rigmarole. And he's got some comedy bits that he does where he'll say, well, do you really want to see what Jimmy Kimmel was going to say? Here's some of the things that Jimmy was going to say on his first night. And he has a bit, well, he makes up stuff with, comedy stuff. And then he does at the very end, I was going to say New News, but that's the Kelsey Boys. I forget what the last final bit is.
I can't remember what it's called.
The last word or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, where he talks about
Last
current
take
events.
or something.
Yeah, something like that. But he's the only guy I think that could do a late night show, because these guys, as Teresa Golders pointed out, as I have pointed out, these guys, Colbert, Kimmel, Fallon, not so much, but they have simply decided that they're going to have Democratic shows. Well, the only problem with that is you've blown off 50% of the country. And you can't have killer ratings with 50% of the country. And Disney, Nexstar, Sinclair have to know that he's more divisive than he has ever been. And the right is never, ever going to forgive him. You think Teresa Goldner is going to watch the Jimmy Kimmel Show? You think Ralph Bailey is ever going to watch the Jimmy Kimmel Show? Not that I ever did or even had an inclination, but even if I was prompted to now, there's no way I would watch this man's show. And Disney has to know that. And despite the left's belief that this was somehow brought upon by Brandon Carr, the FCC chairman, or Donald Trump, you done lost your mind. They made a business decision. And while they made the business decision, as I pointed out, nobody from the left attacked Bob Iger. Anybody hear anything about Bob Iger? He's the one that made the decision. I didn't hear them attack him. I didn't hear anybody say, why doesn't Disney stand up for their guy? You know why? Why players didn't want to go after management? Because they're players and they're management. And you might be sending a resume to Bob Iger. You might be sending a resume to Disney. Or you might want to be on one of the affiliates that belong to Sinclair or Nexstar. So they completely stayed away from them and put the entire focus on the FCC chairman, Brandon Carr, and Donald Trump. Give me a break. Want to thank Crystal Meyer for joining us from Leadership Bakersfield. Of course, our regular Teresa Goldner. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Howard Marcus will join us. And, of course, we got to talk about Mr. Kimmel. And I can't even imagine what he's going to say. I really don't. Apparently, some people are saying he's still defiant. So, in the words of Jackie Gleason, this ought to be rich. I got to get out of here. It's sushi night. And Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. Talk to you tomorrow!
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This radio.com.
Whenever you're ready.
Hang on. Buzz. I have no idea what we did today. What did we do today? Ooh, I got to do Russia. I got to do Russia. But first, let me call a ride home. Bento sushi, and then home. God, that little stop, literally on my way down Oak, cost me $3 more than it normally would. It's literally on the way. I would go down Oak to go home, and all they're doing is pulling into a driveway on the corner of Oak and Truxton, and that adds $3 to my ride. I just don't understand that. I really don't. It's great marketing, I guess. 3, 2. So there was a radical change in American foreign policy. As some of you know, Vladimir Putin invaded the airspace of both Poland and Estonia, 2 NATO countries. Donald Trump was asked, should they be shot down? And he said, yes, I do. And further said that he believes Ukraine can take back the 20% that Putin has stolen. This is a whole new ball game. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. Well, it's a Wednesday, so Howard Marcus will join us, our former federal agent. And by then, everyone would have known what Jimmy Kimmel said in his monologue. Did he triple down? Did he apologize? We'll have it for you on the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3.
Qualifying for this debt relief program, which the credit card companies prefer to keep secret, will only require you to pay back a fraction of what you owe with one affordable monthly payment. You don't have to file bankruptcy or need a debt consolidation loan. Consumers can now take advantage of this financial debt relief during the current economic downturn and rising inflation. If you owe $10,000 or even $500,000 in credit card debt or personal loans, call the Debt Relief Advocates Helpline now for this free information and to see if you qualify. Call 800-466-4131. 800-466-4131. Again, that's 800-466-4131.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. The inmate who escaped during transport to a Kern medical appointment has been found. 23-year-old Francisco Garcia escaped